Chapter 634. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated faster. Millions of novels will be read for free. All the novels that can't be found on the internet will be available here. Little Jing Kong's little body froze. He opened his eyes wide and turned around, looking at her in a daze. Jiao Jiao. Little Jing Kong, who had been looking for her all the way, suddenly felt extremely wronged. He cried out loudly, Jiao Jiao. It's really you. Gu Jiao walked over, squatted down and held the little guy in her arms. Gu Jiao didn't dare to recognize him just now, because this child's steps and figure were similar, but his face was too dark. Her Jing Kong was a fair and tender little boy. How did he suddenly become a little black boy? Little Jing Kong didn't feel wronged when he was alone, but he felt wronged when someone loved him. Little Jing Kong cried loudly, and successfully cried himself into a little rain fairy. Gu Jiao didn't expect to meet little Jing Kong here, or to be exact, she didn't expect little Jing Kong to come to the Yen Kingdom. Little Jing Kong looked very disheveled, and there was a strong smell of sulfur all over his body. At the same time, Gu Jiao also noticed that little Jing Kong was holding a person. Now she was sure that it was a person. She thought it was a big gunny sack just now. Gu Jiao had too many questions in her heart, but this wasn't the place to talk. She decided to bring little Jing Kong back, but before that, she needed to make sure whether it was necessary to bring this person back as well. Who is he? Gu Jiao asked. Old Master Meng's face had already been blown up, and he couldn't even recognize his own mother. Little Jing Kong didn't stop crying, and said while sobbing, He's a kind-hearted grandfather. He brought me to find Jiao Jiao. Then he was accidentally blown up and fainted. Okay, I got it. Gu Jiao brought both of them back. This place was not far from where they lived. It was just across the alley. Gu Xiaoshan and Gu Yin had already rested. Master Lu was practicing martial arts in the courtyard while Master Nan was refining poison at the side. Creak! The courtyard door was pushed open. Mistress Nan hurriedly put down the medicinal herbs in her hands. Jiao Jiao is back. Just as he finished speaking, he saw a small, swarthy head poke in. Madame Nan was startled. Then, she saw a little black baby holding Gu Jiao's hand and walking in. Gu Jiao was carrying a person on her shoulder. Madame Nan stood rooted to the ground in a daze. What was going on? Jiao Jiao went out on a trip. How could he bring two people back home? Madame Nan opened her mouth. Jiao Jiao. Call them, Gu Jiao said to little Jing Kong. Little Jing Kong called obediently, Madame Nan. Then he turned around and called, Master Lu. Ouch. Master Lu punched his own face, causing his nose to bleed. Where did this little black baby come from? Why did he speak like little Jing Kong? Wasn't little Jing Kong in Jiao state? He must have seen a ghost in the middle of the night. Madame Nan was as shocked as her husband. Fortunately, she put down the poison in her hands, otherwise, she would have put it into her mouth. She looked at the little black baby in front of her, who wished he could blend into the night. This is Jing Kong? Little Jing Kong put his hands behind his back and tilted his head. Madame Nan. This familiar posture, this familiar tone, it was clear that it was the clear sky. Why are you so dark? Madame Nan finally couldn't help but ask with her soul. Gu Jiao was also curious. Little Jing Kong felt wronged. It's all because of the sun. It was because of the bad brother-in-law. It was so hard to follow the bad brother-in-law all the way. Madame Nan asked again, Who brought you to the Yen state? A 5-year-old child couldn't have come here by himself. Little Jiao fluttered his wings and landed on the wall of the courtyard. Little Jing Kong rolled his eyes and pointed. Little Jiao brought me here. Everyone was speechless. Gu Jiao had asked this question on the way. Little Jing Kong even told her about the robbery, but he didn't tell her who he came to the Yen state with. Madame Nan could only give up for now and ask again later. She looked at the person who was carried in by Gu Jiao and asked, This person is? Gu Jiao said, A kind old man. He brought Jing Kong out of the inner city. I'll take him for treatment first. Master Lu came over after dealing with the nosebleed. Let me. Master Lu carried him into the central room and put him on a chair. Gu Jiao went to get a small medicine box. Little Jing Kong was like a little tail behind her. He followed wherever Gu Jiao went. Are you hungry? Madame Nan smiled and entered the room. I'll cook a bowl of noodles. Little Jing Kong played with his fingers and said, I want to eat Jiao Jiao's egg soup. Gu Jiao looked back at the little tail behind her and smiled. I'll make it for you later. Madame Nan smiled and said, I'll go and burn the firewood first. She went to the kitchen. Gu Jiao continued to treat the old man. He was fine except for some scratches on the way back when little Jing Kong dragged him back. The other thing was that he inhaled the knockout drug in the black fire pearl. He would wake up after the knockout drug wore off. Gu Jiao suddenly thought of a question. Little Jing Kong was also blown up by the black fire pearl. He should have been knocked out by the knockout drug. Why was little Jing Kong fine? Besides, where did he get the strength to drag the old man all the way back? Did he become so powerful after learning from Gu Changqing for a few days? Did he awaken some hidden talent? Gu Jiao asked the question in her heart. Little Jing Kong thought for a while, and felt that he could answer the question honestly. Little Chick Monkey also taught me Kung Fu. Little Chick Monkey? Gu Jiao was confused. Gu Jiao treated old Master Meng's injuries and put him in the small study. Then, she went to the kitchen and cooked a bowl of steamed egg with foie gras for little Jing Kong. She also cooked a bowl of vegetable noodles for him. Little Jing Kong ate heartily. Jiao Jiao's cooking is so delicious. Unlike his bad brother-in-law, the food was so bad. It was not easy for him to survive with his bad brother-in-law. Boo-hoo. I'm so pitiful. After little Jing Kong had eaten his fill, Master Lu took him to take a fragrant hot bath. During the bath, Master Lu asked him how he came to the Yin Kingdom. Little Jing Kong was very smart, and did not say a word. After the bath, he hugged a small pillow and lay on Gu Jiao's bed contentedly. He rolled here and there. After the third round he fell asleep. He was exhausted from the night, and was snoring nonstop. It was not the hottest time of the day and Chengdu the night was still a little cold. Gu Jiao went into the room and put a thin quilt on little Jing Kong's stomach. Who brought you here? Gu Jiao murmured. Jiao Jiao. Madame Nan called Gu Jiao in a low voice at the door. Gu Jiao put down the curtain and walked over gently. She asked, Madame Nan, what's wrong? Madame Nan handed a wet brocade pouch to Gu Jiao. I found this when I was washing little Jing Kong's clothes. It was sewn in the interlayer. At first glance, you couldn't see it. But when you put it in the water, the dye in the brocade pouch spread. Gu Jiao took the colorful brocade pouch and squeezed it. She said, there's something. She opened the brocade pouch and a folded craft paper fell out. When the craft paper was opened, there was a note. It was written clearly in the language of the Yin Kingdom. My book boy was lost when he was young. If you find him, please send him to the Linglong Pavilion of the Kanglin Women's Academy. We will reward you handsomely. Digression, as the saying goes, the devil goes. 23333 Your brother-in-law is still your brother-in-law. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. You can find all the novels that you can't find on the internet here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_8964226/1079487111. HTML Genius remembers this website's address in a second. www.zhhbqg.com Bikuga mobile reading website. zhhbqg.com. Chapter 635. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated more quickly. Millions of novels can be read for free. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found on the internet. Errand Boy? Kanglin Women's Academy? The one who brought little Jing Kong to the Yin Kingdom was a woman? Like Gu Jiao, Madame Nen also caught the two important pieces of information. She frowned and said, was Jing Kong abducted? Those who could live in Kanglin College were either female students or female teachers. And Linglong Pavilion sounded like a dormitory for female students. so it was more likely to be a female student. None of the girls that Gu Jiao and Madame Nan knew met this condition. Could it be Mo Qianxue? Madame Nan asked. She had been to Pushui Alley too many times, so she naturally heard of Hua Xiao and Mo Qianxue. Mo Qianxue had been to the Yin Kingdom. But this guess was quickly denied by Gu Jiao. She went to the Yin Kingdom with Prince Consort Huang Fuzheng, and sneaked into the Yin Kingdom from the Qin Kingdom. It was not a formal way. She shouldn't be able to enter the academy in Chengdu. If she can't, then Hua Xiao can't. Madame Nan frowned. It can't be Princess Xinyang. Princess Xinyang is a mother. How can she go to the academy to study? Whether she studied or not was secondary. Princess Xinyang was the princess of the Zhao Kingdom. The nature of her visit to the Yin Kingdom had changed. It was a political visit, so there must be rumors in Chengdu if she visited secretly. She needed to hide her identity. Did she think that she would not be exposed quickly enough if she went to the academy in the inner city? The last and most important point was, Gu Jiao said, if it was Princess Xinyang, Jing Kong wouldn't run away. The little guy even took his luggage and the black fire pearl. It was obvious that he sneaked out in the middle of the night. Black fire pearl, Gu Jiao murmured. The black fire pearl was a hidden weapon that she made for Xiaoheng. How could little Jing Kong have it? Did Xiaoheng also come? No, he couldn't come. She had taken away his admission papers. Therefore, little Jing Kong had secretly taken away Xiaoheng's black fire pearl in Zhao country. Little Jing Kong was extremely daring. It was not something that he would not do. Gu Jiao looked at the note with the words, "My book boy," written on it again. The fact that little Jing Kong could escape from her meant that he was not a good person. Otherwise, would little Jing Kong run away if he was a good person? Little Jing Kong was a good child who knew how to repay kindness. Even his grandfather, who had left the city, was injured. He knew that he had to bring his grandfather over for treatment. If that person was the one who saved Jing Kong would not abandon her. Gu Jiao's mind was already filled with a series of detestable acts of human traffickers selling children from thousands of miles away, hiring child labor, not giving them food or water, oppressing them to death, and beating and scolding them at every turn. Songlan Women's Academy, right? Very good. Gu Jiao clenched her fist and the paper ball turned into ashes. Woman, you will pay the price. Early the next morning, Gu Yan and Gu Xiaoshen knew that little Jing Kong was abducted to the Yin Kingdom. It was Madame Nan who told them. Madame Nan asked them not to ask about it. He didn't mention it at all. I think he was scared and didn't want to recall it. Madame Nan even found a reasonable explanation for little Jing Kong's evasiveness. It was undeniable that Madame Nan had a certain talent in the field of imagination. Oh. Gu Xiaoshen agreed obediently. Only Gu Yan had a look of suspicion. That little monk? Was he scared? However, Gu Yan was still very weak. He muttered a few words in his heart and fell asleep again. Little Jing Kong also woke up. He was practicing martial arts in the backyard. After practicing, he sat down and practiced for a while. Gu Jiao already knew that the little chick monkey he mentioned was Marquis Xianping. Gu Jiao was puzzled. When Marquis Xianping was recuperating in the Pushui Alley, he was in a cast. How did he manage to abduct little Jing Kong to practice martial arts? Gu Jiao looked at the vigorous little Jing Kong, and then looked at the old grandpa who still hadn't woken up from the knockout drug. But he taught him well. After breakfast, little Jing Kong stayed at home. Gu Jiao and Gu Xiaoshen went to the academy to attend classes. In the past, it was Gu Jiao who sent little Jing Kong to school. Now it was little Jing Kong who watched Gu Jiao go to school. He found it quite refreshing. However, he felt lonely after Gu Jiao left. Suddenly, he turned around and saw the big black horse in the backyard. The horse king who was eating grass was shocked. An ominous premonition came to its mind. Another wicked person wants to harm me. Gu Jiao went to Mingxin Hall. As usual, she walked to the last row near the back door. There were basically no people sitting in the last row. If there were, it would be her and Mu Qingchen. Mu Qingchen didn't come today, but the back row was full. Oh no, there was a seat left. Everyone in the back row looked at Gu Jiao in unison, waved at Gu Jiao in unison, and smiled warmly at her in unison. They even showed their teeth in unison. Gu Jiao, who had recognized Zhou Tong, was unable to recognize him for the whole afternoon. Gu Jiao looked around and found that except for the back row, only the first row was empty. She took a deep breath and resisted the urge to throw out the group of people who came from the first row to compete with her for the last row. She walked over and sat down with a poker face. Gu Jiao raised her hand and was about to ask who could lend her homework when Zhou Tong turned around and put a pile of homework on her desk with a smile. "It's all done for you." Gu Jiao was speechless. At noon, Gu Jiao went to have lunch. "Brother Xiao, I've got it for you." In the afternoon, Gu Jiao went to shoot arrows. "Brother Xiao, I've got the arrows for you." "Brother Xiao, I've made the annotations." "Brother Xiao, I've got the toilet paper for you." Toilet paper? Why was there toilet paper? Gu Jiao, who wanted to go back to the dormitory and put the cloak back in Mu Qingqin's closet, came out with a gloomy face. Gu Jiao spent an indescribable day in the academy. Dealing with these clingy people was more tiring than attending classes. Finally, when school was over, Gu Jiao's head was smoking. Gu Jiao grabbed her bag and walked out. Gu Xiaoshan didn't wait for her. As soon as she walked out of the academy, a carriage stopped in front of her. Gu Jiao didn't pay it any attention. Unexpectedly, a girl in a pink dress jumped out of the carriage and called out to her. "Xiao Lulang." It was Mu Qingqin's sister Su Shui. Gu Jiao glanced at her and continued walking. "Your brother isn't here." Su Shui caught up with Gu Jiao. "I know he's not here. He's out of Shengdu. I'm not looking for him. I'm looking for you." "What's up?" Gu Jiao asked. "Can't I look for you if there's nothing?" Su Shui pouted. Why did this line sound so familiar? Gu Jiao looked at her strangely and said seriously, "You can't." Su Shui choked and her steps slowed down. Did this person know how to talk? Could it be? Gu Jiao walked in front of her. Gu Jiao was tall for a girl, and her steps were fast. Su Shui struggled to keep up. Su Shui gasped for breath. "Can't you walk a little slower? I came all the way here to find you. Can't you wait for me? Why are you as unreasonable as my roommate?" Gu Jiao stopped. "Your roommate?" Gu Jiao finally remembered. She looked at Su Shui. "Last time, you said that your new roommate was a mute and brought along a little black baby?" Su Shui nodded. "That's right." Gu Jiao paused. "What's the child's name?" "Little Black?" Su Shui blinked and sighed helplessly. "How would I know his name?" Gu Jiao glanced at her. "Don't you share a room with them?" Su Shui muttered. "But I don't live in the academy's dormitory." This was the truth. Her home was in the inner city. Why would she leave the luxurious mansion to live in a dormitory? Was she crazy? As expected of siblings, their habits of not living in the dormitory were exactly the same. Gu Jiao continued. "You should know that woman's name, right?" Su Shui immediately exploded. "Xiao Lulang, you're too much. How dare you ask me about another woman's name? Are you interested in her as well? What are you thinking? I don't even know her." Gu Jiao was baffled. How could Su Shui's thoughts jump around like this? Why would she think of this? Why would she be interested in a stranger? "And a woman at that?" Su Shui snorted. "Then why are you asking about her?" "Oh, I know. Did you also hear about her beauty, so you want to curry favor with her like those lechers? Let me tell you, there's no hope. How many young masters of the country can't even catch her eye? You forget it." "What kind of nonsense is she talking about?" Gu Jiao said indifferently. "I have a grudge with her." "Really?" Su Shui's eyes lit up and her expression changed. "What kind of grudge?" Thinking about the oppressed little Jing Kong, Gu Jiao's eyes emitted killing intent. He coldly said, "An absolutely irreconcilable grudge." Songlan Women's Academy's Linglong Pavilion. A certain person fiercely sneezed 3 times. Su Shui happily said, "Then I'll take you to find her." Digression. Recently, I want to adjust my work schedule. The update time is not fixed, so everyone comes to refresh every afternoon. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated even faster. Millions of novels will be read for free. Novels that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg com/89642_896422826/1079445558. HTML Genius will remember this website's address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Pen Fun Pavilion's mobile reading website. zhhbqg. Chapter 636. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. Gu Jiao sat in Su Shue's carriage. Su Shue's coachman saw his young miss bring an unfamiliar man into the carriage, and couldn't help but remind her in a low voice. "Young miss, this isn't appropriate, right? Men and women shouldn't touch each other. If master and madam find out, they'll punish you." Su Shue coldly snorted. "If you don't say anything, how will my parents know? Or are you planning to betray me and secretly tell on me to my parents? I'm warning you. If you plot against me behind my back, I'll make sure you can't stay in the Su family anymore." The coachman hurriedly replied, "This little one wouldn't dare, this little one wouldn't dare. Young miss, don't worry, this little one will keep my mouth shut." "That's more like it." Su Shui raised her eyebrows in satisfaction. Looking at the tightly closed curtains, she smiled knowingly and lifted her skirt to get into the carriage. She sat down on the bench next to Gu Jiao. She wore a pink and white tunic dress that accentuated her lithe figure and slender waist. Although she wore a veil, her limpid eyes were dazzling and beautiful. Actually, from Mu Qingqin's appearance, one could guess that Su Shui wasn't bad either. However, Gu Jiao wasn't a real man, so he wouldn't drool over Su Shui's beauty. Her eyes were clear without the slightest hint of profanity, causing Su Shui's face to turn even redder. He was a rare gentleman. Being in the same room as her, he didn't have the slightest intention of offending her. The carriage traveled on the wide street with an endless stream of pedestrians. The sounds of hawking could be heard, creating a bustling scene in Chengdu. "Young Miss Su, can you walk a bit faster?" Gu Jiao asked. If she walked too slowly, it would be dark soon and she was afraid that she wouldn't be able to leave the city in time. Su Shui wished that she could walk a bit slower, but since Xiao Lulang requested, she could only comply. "Oh, Afu, walk a bit faster." "Yes, young miss." The coachman called. Afu whipped the horse, causing it to gallop. Su Shui's face darkened. "I told you to go faster, not this much. I'll deduct your monthly allowance when I get back." The Kanglin Women's Academy was located in the southeast of the inner city of Chengdu. It was one of the 4 prime locations in the inner city, and the only women's academy in Chengdu. It wasn't that there weren't any girls' schools in other places, but most of them were small private schools that had a separate class for girls. The last few times she came here, she was either hiding under the car or in the car, or she was being watched. She didn't have the chance to properly appreciate the local customs of the inner city. Today, thanks to Su Shui, she lifted the curtain and looked to her heart's content. The outer city was already bustling, and the inner city was even more so. Su Shui saw that she kept looking outside and thought that she was in a hurry, so she said, "We'll be there soon. We'll take a shortcut and go around the back door of the House of Duke. We'll be there in less than 10 minutes. Speaking of which, what kind of grudge do you have with my roommate?" Of course, Gu Jiao could not say that her roommate had abused her Jing Kong. She only said, "Anyway, that's what happened." "Alright, I won't say it." Su Shui didn't get to the bottom of the matter. After all, she could tell that Gu Jiao really wanted to teach that new beauty a lesson. She wasn't like those playboys outside who said all kinds of things, but in fact, they were all there to see the beauty. "I believe you," she said with a smile. Gu Jiao was baffled by this sudden belief. Why would Su Shui believe her? The carriage went on for a while before it suddenly stopped. Su Shui frowned and said unhappily through the curtain, "What's wrong? Who told you to stop?" Young miss." The coachman's voice was not right. Su Shui lifted the curtain and said in surprise, "Father." It was a carriage from the Su house that stopped at almost the same time as Su Shui's carriage. The person inside the carriage lifted the curtain, revealing a stern middle-aged face. It was Su Shui and Mu Qingqin's father, Su Yuan, courtesy name Rongchuan. His sharp gaze swept over the guilty coachman and Su Shui. Su Shui's heart skipped a beat. She hurriedly walked out of the carriage and closed the curtains tightly. She stood outside the carriage and said to Su Yuan, "Father, what a coincidence. Didn't you bring fourth brother out of the city? Why are you back so soon? Where's fourth brother? Is he in your carriage?" Su Yuan did not answer Su Shui's question. In fact, there was no need for him to answer. If Mu Qingchen was in the carriage, he would have come out to help Su Shui resolve the awkwardness. Su Yuan's gaze was fixed on the curtain behind Su Shui. Su Shui inconspicuously moved and tried to use her body to block the curtain. This was really a case of giving herself away. "Who is it?" Su Yuan asked in a deep voice. No one." Su Shui hurriedly waved her hand. Su Yuan was a martial artist, so how could he not sense the presence in the carriage? Moreover, Su Shui and the coachman's reactions had already betrayed everything. Gu Jiao lifted the curtain and openly walked out. When Su Yuan saw that it was a green-clothed youth, his gaze instantly turned cold. He did not judge people by their appearance, but the arrogance in the youth's eyes made him frown slightly. "Who are you?" Su Yuan coldly asked. "Xiao Lulang." Gu Jiao said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Su Yuan narrowed his eyes. "You're Xiao Lulang?" Su Shui hurriedly explained. "That's right. Father. He's the Xiao Lulang that I told you about. He saved me from the horse's hooves. Father, you weren't there at the time, so you don't know how dangerous the situation was. Even fourth brother couldn't save me. If it wasn't for him, I would have." Before she could finish, Su Yuan's cold gaze landed on her, and she immediately shut her mouth. Su Yuan was very angry that a man and a woman were in the same room. However, no matter how unruly Su Shui was, he still had to teach her a lesson behind closed doors. Su Yuan would not embarrass her in public. However, Su Yuan did not hide his arrogance in front of a commoner. "You're Qingchen's classmate. It was Qingchen who told you to come visit more often, right? Unfortunately, Qingchen isn't home today, so you've made a wasted trip." He did not mention that Gu Jiao had saved Su Shui's life, only acknowledging that Gu Jiao was Mu Qingchen's classmate. Even Gu Jiao sitting in the same carriage as Su Shui was said to be looking for Mu Qingchen. After he finished speaking, he looked at Su Shui who was beside Gu Jiao and sternly said, "Why aren't you coming over?" Su Shui bit her lip and slowly jumped off the carriage. She walked over to her father's carriage, looking back every few steps. The servants laid out the wooden steps for Su Shui. Su Shui walked up the steps. "Go in," Su Yuan said to her. Su Shui entered the carriage, feeling wronged. Su Yuan continued to look at Gu Jiao and said, "Qingchen isn't home, so I'm sorry for making young Master Xiao come here for nothing. Fu, send young Master Xiao back to the academy. When Qingchen comes back, I'll ask him to invite young Master Xiao to the manor." Su Shui's expression changed. "Father," Su Yuan said sternly, "Fu." Yes. Fu did not dare to disobey Su Yuan's order. He turned the carriage around and drove towards the southern city gate. Su Shui looked at the carriage that was gradually moving away and stomped her feet. "Father, why did you do that?" Su Yuan put down the curtain and sat down opposite Su Shui. "I should ask you why you did that. You're a girl, yet you're sitting in the same carriage as a commoner. What if someone saw you? Don't you want your reputation?" Su Shui snorted. "Father, there's no what if. Those who were more powerful than her wouldn't bother to block her carriage, and those who were weaker wouldn't dare to block her carriage. How could they be discovered?" Su Yuan said sternly. "You're still quibbling. Also, don't mention that he saved your life. He didn't save you, he was just training the horse. Don't you feel ashamed to be associated with a commoner?" Originally, Su Yuan didn't even want to admit that the kid was Mu Qingchen's classmate. However, in order to make it sound reasonable, he had to change the fact that his daughter brought him to the capital and Mu Qingchen invited him to the capital. Su Shui argued. "But he did save me. Father, you don't want to admit it. Do you think my life is worthless?" Su Yuan said seriously. "I'm worried that he'll rely on the Su family. If he uses saving your life as an excuse to stay with the Su family, you won't be able to marry for the rest of your life." Su Shui said angrily. I didn't want to marry in the first place. Su Yuan's face darkened. I know that he saved your life. I'll have someone prepare a gift for him and send it to the academy. He should be satisfied with the reward from the Su family. You'd better not make this mistake again. He doesn't have a talisman in the inner city. If the government finds out that you brought him into the city without permission, the consequences will be unimaginable. Su Shui felt wronged. Isn't the government run by our family? Su Yuan was furious. What did she mean by the government run by the Su family? Was this girl not afraid of her whole family being executed? Su Shui said angrily. Grandfather is the governor of the capital. Isn't the matter of Cha Fujia the government's official business? Who would dare to investigate me in the capital? Do they want to die? This was the truth. But you can't say it. If His Majesty heard it, wouldn't the Su family follow in the footsteps of the Xianyuan family? Su Yuan gritted his teeth. How dare you say such things? I'm only talking to father. I'm not talking nonsense outside. Who didn't know that? Su Yuan was choked by her words. After a while he remembered what he wanted to say. Why did you bring him to the inner city? Su Shui wasn't stupid. Naturally, she wouldn't say that Xiao Lulang had a feud with someone. She said, he's never been to the inner city, so I brought him around. Who knew he'd run into father? Su Shui said. In order to avoid exposing herself, she quickly changed the topic. She turned around. Father, you're unreasonable. I don't want to talk to father anymore. I want to go back and tell grandfather that father bullied me and fourth brother's friend. Su Yuan said coldly. What do you mean you and fourth brother's friend? Is he worthy? Su Shui, remember this. You're the Su family's daughter. You can't lower your status for a commoner. Su Shui was angered to tears by Su Yuan. Seeing his daughter cry, Su Yuan frowned and sighed helplessly. All right, let's not talk about him. Wipe your tears. Father will take you somewhere. I'm not going. Su Shui refused without hesitation. Su Yuan said, You don't even know where we're going and you're saying you're not going? Su Shui choked with sobs. I'm angry. I don't want to go anywhere. Su Yuan said, It's Elder Meng's chessboard. Su Shui's crying stopped. Su Yuan knew that her interest was piqued. He continued, Yesterday Elder Meng encountered a group of robbers in the outer city. His whereabouts are unknown. His coachman reported it, but unfortunately, the Yamen only caught the unconscious robbers and didn't find Elder Meng. Some people speculate that Elder Meng might have met with misfortune. Su Shui was stunned. Then are we going to burn incense for him? Su Yuan was speechless. Su Yuan said, We're going to meet Elder Meng's eldest disciple. That disciple has received Elder Meng's teachings and is second only to him in chess. In the past, we wouldn't have been able to meet him. Now that Elder Meng is in trouble and we're helping the chessboard, it's a good opportunity to rope him in. Perform well in a while and try to gain his favor, so that he can accept you and your sister as his disciples. Your sister is already there. I'm not worried about her. I'm only worried about you. In the entire family, Su Shui was the one who caused him the most worry. On the other side, Fu was driving the carriage slowly towards the city gates. He wasn't worried that the guards would stop his carriage to check if there were any inner city Fujier inside. After all, this was the Su family's carriage. Even if they did check it, they would just hand it over to the capital office and have the Su family's old master release it. He just felt a little sorry for the people in the carriage. Today's incident was quite embarrassing. He said sincerely, Sai young Master Xiao, don't take it to heart. The old master's mouth is unforgiving, but he definitely won't mistreat you behind your back. When you return to the academy, you might even receive a gift from the old master. However, let me give young Master Xiao a piece of advice. The Su family's young miss isn't someone you can make friends with. You should give up. Be a sensible person and the Su family will protect you. What do you think? Young Master Xiao ignored him. The coachman continued, Young Master Xiao, am I right? Young Master Xiao. Young Master Xiao? Fu felt that something was strange. He turned around and lifted the curtain, only to see that the carriage was empty. The person who should have been sitting inside had disappeared without a trace. Digression, Happy May Day. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964226/1079284142. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bkuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 637. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. After Gu Jiao got off the carriage, she went back the way she came and arrived at the Tsonglan Women's Academy. Although the Tsonglan Women's Academy was located in the inner city, it covered a large area, at least larger than Gu Jiao had imagined. This brought trouble to Gu Jiao's search. Where is Linglong Pavilion? She looked around. I can't just ask anyone. The Tsonglan Women's Academy didn't allow outsiders to enter. She was dressed in men's clothing, so her sudden appearance here could easily cause misunderstandings. Fortunately, it was still early, so she just had to search the courtyard one by one. She didn't know if it was because the beauty was too famous, but all the gossip Gu Jiao heard while secretly strolling around was about her. From the information from these people's mouths, the beauty had just arrived in Chengdu, unlike Gu Jiao, who had become the most popular person in Clear Heart Hall in just a few days. This new beauty had become the public enemy of all the young ladies of the Tsonglan Women's Academy. She never invites people to dinner and calculates every copper coin clearly. I've never seen such a stingy person. She doesn't help when we ask her for help. She doesn't lend us anything when we ask her. Stingy. She doesn't allow people to enter her dormitory or touch her things. She has a bad temper. She's so arrogant and always has a cold face. Isn't she just relying on those men to like her? She only knows how to seduce men all day long. Little vixen. But her homework seems to have been praised by the teacher again. Yes. She got first place in yesterday's exam again. I really want to tear her apart when I see her proud look. She has no status and no backing. Can't she use this to raise her value, so that she can find a good husband in Chengdu in the future? The entrance requirements of the Tsonglan Women's Academy were very high. Most of the students were young ladies of aristocratic families or extremely talented women. Most of them were married to men of the Yan Kingdom. Therefore, the Tsonglan Women's Academy was also known as the Academy for Brides of the Six Kingdoms. Many young masters from aristocratic families had come here to find beauties from the academy. After hearing so much, Gu Jiao couldn't help but admire the beauty in his heart. How did she manage to pull the hatred of all the students in the academy to the max? Look, someone is sending something to Linglong Pavilion again. It must be for her. One of the female students pointed to a small courtyard in the southeast and said sourly. Gu Jiao looked over. Oh, is that Linglong Pavilion? The few of them left while cursing. Gu Jiao looked in the direction of Linglong Pavilion and walked over. It was neither early nor late. The sun was setting in the west, and the warm yellow light fell on the cornices of the Pavilion of Delicacy. Gu Jiao climbed over the wall and entered the courtyard. There was more than one bedroom in Linglong Pavilion. Gu Jiao followed the maidservants who came to deliver things to a room at the end of the corridor. After the maidservants left, Gu Jiao flashed in. The women's room was more exquisite than the men's room. The room was separated by yellow pear wood cabinets. One of the bed curtains was down, and there was a faintly discernible figure inside. There was nothing in the room on the other side. It matched what Su Shui said about her not staying. Very good, it seems to be her. Gu Jiao took out her mask and put it on. She took off the whip at her waist and slapped it on the ground. Gu Jiao coldly said, "Are you coming out yourself or do I have to drag you out? You don't want to come out? Okay. Gu Jiao directly whipped the person out of the curtains. But how was this a student of the academy? It was clearly a fake person. Gu Jiao frowned. Does he know I'm coming to find him? The number one beauty of Tsonglan Academy naturally knew that Gu Jiao was coming to find her. Or more accurately, she was coming to find him. The number one beauty was none other than Xiao Heng, who brought little Jing Kong to the Yan Kingdom. Little Jiao came back with Gu Jiao's headband in his mouth last night. Xiao Heng knew that the little fellow had found Gu Jiao. With the little fellow's nature, he might not tell him. But in order to prevent the little fellow from getting lost, he put the address of Ling Long Pavilion in the little fellow's clothes. Therefore, whether the little fellow told him or not, Gu Jiao could find him. Gu Jiao looked like she was going to punish him. The little fellow must have slandered him in front of Gu Jiao. Xiao Heng's teeth hurt. Of course, he was not avoiding Gu Jiao because he was afraid that Gu Jiao would punish him. It was because he did not want her to know that he was the new beauty of the academy. Fortunately, he was prepared. Gu Jiao was in the empty room. While she was thinking about the other party's intentions, someone came from the corridor. Gu Jiao hid behind the rosewood screen cabinet. The door was pushed open and a girl wearing a pink and white uniform walked in. After she entered the room, she closed the door and bolted it. Then she walked to the bed where the fake person was. Gu Jiao sneered and walked out from behind the screen cabinet. You are the student of this dormitory? The young girl seemed to be shocked. She turned around with a pale face and looked at Gu Jiao with eyes full of fear. Gu Jiao looked at her lovely face. She was indeed a beauty, but wasn't it a bit exaggerated? But then she thought about it. She did not see anyone more beautiful than her on the way here. The girl gestured with her hands. She was probably asking who she was. Seeing that Gu Jiao did not answer, she looked at Gu Jiao with pleading eyes. Then she pointed at a table not far away. There was a brush, ink, paper, and inkstone on the table. Gu Jiao understood, and walked over to sit down. The young girl came to the table. Only then did Gu Jiao notice that her right hand seemed to be injured, and was bandaged with white gauze. The girl frowned slightly. She spread out the white paper, and used her left hand to write with great difficulty. I am a student of this dormitory. May I ask who you are? Why did you come to my room? Gu Jiao remembered Su Shui saying that she was a little mute. She was not surprised that she answered with writing. Can you hear me? Gu Jiao asked. The girl nodded and wrote. I'm not deaf. Gu Jiao looked at the handwriting on the paper. It was different from the handwriting on Jing Kong's body. But it was not difficult to understand. After all, the handwriting of ordinary people was different. Gu Jiao took out a dyed note from her purse and handed it to her. Did you leave this? The girl took it and looked at it. Her eyes lit up and she wrote, Young master, did you find Jing Kong? Gu Jiao looked at her excited expression. She did not look like a cruel girl who would abuse children. Gu Jiao was a little confused. You know his name is Jing Kong? The girl hurriedly wrote, He told me. I met him at a dock in the Yan Kingdom. At that time he was alone and pitiful, so I took him with me. Which dock? Gu Jiao asked. Tongqing Dock. The girl wrote. There was such a dock in the Yan Kingdom, but it was not on the road to Xingdu. Why did Jing Kong go there? Who brought him to the Yan Kingdom? I asked him about his past, but he didn't tell me. The girl continued to write. He only said that he was going to Xingdu to find Jiao Jiao. I asked him who Jiao Jiao was, but he didn't tell me. Could it be that Jing Kong was abducted to the Yan Kingdom and escaped by himself? Did he meet this kind-hearted girl after he escaped? She misunderstood him. She did not mistreat Jing Kong. She was good to Jing Kong. As for why Jing Kong ran away, it was because Jing Kong wanted to find her. This wasn't impossible. As for why Jing Kong did not let the girl bring him to find her, it was because she had Xiao Liulong's admission certificate. Her identity could not be exposed. Jing Kong was a smart boy. So I misunderstood you. Gu Jiao looked at the girl and said. The girl smiled and wrote. You think I bullied him, so you came to find trouble with me? You care about him so much. Who are you to him? Gu Jiao did not answer her question. Instead, she said. It's a misunderstanding. Sorry for offending you. Thank you for taking care of Jing Kong these days. I will repay you if I have the chance. I'm leaving now. Take care. There was a warehouse next door. Xiao Heng put his ear to the wall next door. He did not heave a sigh of relief until Gu Jiao left after finishing her sentence. He found the girl and told her the lines in advance. He even took into account the difference between his handwriting and hers. Finally, he managed to deceive everyone. But he was not as happy as he imagined. Or to be exact, he was a little disappointed. He wanted to see her. He missed her very much. He wanted to settle the score with her face to face. He also wanted to ask her how she was doing these days. He had never missed someone so much. He missed her so much that his heart ached. He was so angry with her, but he was still worried that she was not taking good care of herself. Xiao Heng rubbed his chest, took a deep breath, and stepped out of the warehouse. He came to the door of the dormitory. He suddenly regretted it when he remembered that she was here just now. If he had known, he would not have let her go. He lowered his eyes and opened the door. When he saw the figure on the ground, he looked up. Gu Jiao, who had already left, was standing in front of him. She looked at him and smiled. Lord Xiao, long time no see. Digression. Beauty Xiao. Jiao Jiao is still young. She can't have a baby. Let's have a baby first. Please double the monthly votes. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that you can't find online. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_896428226/10792373. HTML Genius memorized the website's address. www.zhhbqg.com Bkuj mobile reading website, zhhbqg.com. Chapter 638. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated even faster. Millions of novels will be read for free. All the novels that can't be found online will be available here. It was as if Xiao Heng had been struck by lightning. His entire body froze in place, and it took him a long time to realize the situation in front of him. He lowered his head to look at his flamboyant academy uniform and ran away. Gu Jiao reached out with her small hand and grabbed his collar, dragging him into the room. She slammed the door shut and pressed him against the wall. Then, she reached out with her other hand and pushed his back, locking the door. Her movements were smooth and fluid, all done in one go. Gu Jiao looked at Xiao Heng, and Xiao Heng even stopped breathing. Should he say that her movements were too handsome, or that her gaze was too murderous? Xiao Heng's mind went blank. Everything happened too suddenly. Xiao Heng simply didn't understand how she had stayed. She had clearly said goodbye, and he had clearly heard her leave. But the truth was that the person who had left was the famous actress that he had invited from the theater. Gu Jiao coldly looked at Xiao Heng, her fingertips brushing past his handsome face. She narrowed her eyes dangerously. Husband's appearance is really pitiful. From now on, should I call husband Lord Xiao, or husband Beauty Xiao? Xiao Heng choked and his face flushed red. He looked at her with a resentful expression. You're still angry? Who was the one who drugged me and left me behind? I still haven't settled this debt with you. Gu Jiao's eyes moved. Oh, she had forgotten about this matter. Gu Jiao let go of his collar and began to tidy up his messy clothes. Her eyes immediately became obedient. See, here it comes again. This girl would always pretend to be obedient whenever she was in the wrong. He couldn't forgive her so quickly. Otherwise, she wouldn't learn her lesson. If they encountered this kind of situation again in the future, she would still leave him behind. Xiao Heng pushed her hand away and sat down at the table coldly. Gu Jiao blinked and sat down beside him. Gu Jiao went to get the teapot and poured him some tea. It's hot. He quickly blocked Gu Jiao's hand, grabbed the thick cloth on the table, and removed the teapot from the stove. After taking it, he realized that he shouldn't have done that. It was as if he had already forgiven her. He quickly put on a cold face. In addition to getting even with Gu Jiao, the other reason was to divert her attention so that Gu Jiao would not notice that he was dressed as a woman. Gu Jiao rested her chin on her hands and looked at him. Husband, so the first beauty from the academy is you. No wonder even Su Shui was jealous. Her husband was the most beautiful, and she couldn't accept any rebuttal. Xiaoheng choked. Fortunately, the sky was dark and there was no light in the room, so she couldn't see his red face. Isn't that because of you? He said in a serious tone. Oh. Gu Jiao's lips curved as she stared at him without blinking. Xiaoheng. I'm talking business with you. Gu Jiao. She continued to stare at him. Xiaoheng wished that he could cover her eyes with his hand. Gu Jiao's lips curved slightly. Husband, you're quite charming like this. Could this girl stop talking? If she hadn't taken his admission document, he wouldn't have taken hers. How did you see through it just now? Xiaoheng tried his best to change the topic. Oh, that. Gu Jiao said. She said it herself. Xiaoheng was slightly startled. He saw Gu Jiao glance at the note on the table. There were two kinds of handwriting notes on the table. One was obviously written with a crooked hand, while the other was written with smooth and elegant handwriting. Gu Jiao continued. When I was about to leave, a dagger fell in front of her. She caught it with her right hand. She had deliberately dropped the dagger in order to see if her right hand was injured. Xiaoheng frowned. You suspected that she was lying from the beginning? Of course not. Xiaoheng's plan was flawless. Although the girl's personality was slightly different from the rumors couldn't be used as evidence to define a person. Gu Jiao had her own standards and logic, so she wasn't affected by objective facts. Gu Jiao pointed at the dummy on the bed. But why did you put a dummy made of a pillow? Xiaoheng raised his eyebrows and muttered in a voice that only he could hear. Just for a bit. Gu Jiao was speechless. Gu Jiao finally understood the whole story from Xiaoheng. It turned out that she also had an admission certificate. She was more and more curious about the white-bearded old monk. He was really a kind and considerate monk. In addition, little Jing Kong didn't mention Xiaoheng, because he didn't want to go to school. Little Jing Kong studied in the gifted class. The best gifted class in the Yan Kingdom was in the inner city, just a wall away from the Kanglan Women's Academy. Gu Jiao's mouth twitched. How could he play truant at such a young age? Xiaoheng saw that Gu Jiao was shocked by the truth. He sneered. Oh, he's only obedient in front of you. Who knew what kind of little devil he was in private? How's Gu Yan? Xiaoheng asked. Gu Jiao said, he's awake now. He's relying on medicine. I applied for leave for him from the academy. The academy approved it. Madame Nan found a house nearby. Xiaoshun and I don't live in the academy. We go back every night. Hearing this, Xiaoheng secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He didn't know if he was glad that Gu Yan was fine for the time being, or that she didn't live in the men's dormitory. Xiaoheng said, well, since you're here, we should change our identities. Gu Jiao asked curiously, why do you want to change it back? Xiaoheng said lightly, why? Do you still want to pretend to be a man? It's improper to hang out with a group of men all day long. Gu Jiao looked at him and said, but your identity is safer. Those who want to kill you won't be able to guess that you'll enter the Yan Kingdom with such an identity. Xiaoheng couldn't refute for a moment because the truth was as Gu Jiao said. He had been in the Yan Kingdom for a long time, and hadn't encountered anyone who wanted to kill him. There was even one time when he stayed in the same inn with the Nangong family. But the Nangong family didn't recognize him when they walked past him. His current identity was indeed his most powerful protection. But Gu Jiao understood what he was worried about. You don't have to worry about me. Nangongli has seen you and knows that you don't look like me. At most, he'll think that I'm someone with the same name, or someone who's here to impersonate you. As long as we don't contact each other on the surface and don't have any interactions, people won't think that we've exchanged identities. This era wasn't the information era. News didn't spread as fast as imagined. We'll be careful. We won't be exposed, Gu Jiao said and patted her small chest. This is the best arrangement right now. Trust me. Xiaoheng looked at her deeply and said with a complicated expression, you just want to fight, right? The people of Tianqiong Academy were more resistant to beatings. Gu Jiao looked at him with a pained expression. How could that be? His guess was so accurate. Under Gu Jiao's persuasion, as well as holding hands, mainly holding hands, Xiaoheng finally accepted the suggestion of not exchanging identities for the time being. The curtain of night had completely fallen. The two talked and forgot to light the lamps in the room. The room was dusky. Only fragments of moonlight penetrated through the gaps in the window lattice. Unknowingly, the sky was so dark. It turned out that time could pass so quickly when two people were together. It's getting late. I should go, Gu Jiao said. I'll send you, Xiaoheng said. There's no need. I can go out by myself. Gu Jiao remembered the way. Xiaoheng paused and said, I want to send you. Gu Jiao didn't refuse again. The two walked out of Xiaoheng's room. Gu Jiao thought that Linglong Pavilion was as quiet as his room. When she walked out, she found that Linglong Pavilion was bustling with noise and excitement. Only his little world was so quiet that it seemed to be isolated from the rest of the world. Gu Jiao said, I'll send Jing Kong back tomorrow. Xiaoheng snorted. Humph, you'd better let him stay in the outer city. He'll be so annoying when he comes back. His words were full of disdain, but his tone wasn't harsh. Gu Jiao smiled and said, I got it. The two avoided the people of the academy and came to a place where it was easiest to climb over. Let's stop here. Gu Jiao looked at him and said, It's not safe for you to go out like this. Xiaoheng's face darkened. Did she have to rub salt into his wound? Okay, I'm leaving. Gu Jiao stepped forward and jumped over the wall. Her movements were clean and efficient. Xiaoheng was stunned. You're leaving just like that? Wasn't it too fast? Didn't she have anything to say? Eat well, drink more water, and don't flirt with those rich young ladies. Oh, Gu Jiao retracted her leg that had already stepped over. She jumped down and came to Xiaoheng. She tiptoed and kissed his face. Xiaoheng was slightly stunned. I didn't mean that. Gu Jiao thought for a moment. Then you mean this? She stood on her tiptoes again, grabbed his collar and kissed his lips. Xiaoheng's brain exploded with a bang. Gu Jiao gently pressed down on him, and then let go of him. Unexpectedly, before her heels touched the ground, Xiaoheng suddenly hugged her waist and pulled her into his arms. Xiaoheng pressed her against the cold wall. He held her waist with one hand and protected her back with the other to prevent the wall from touching her. His longing was intensified by the night. His breathing gradually became heavier. He stared at her with his deep eyes, lowered his head, and pressed his lips against hers in a domineering and gentle manner. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1079096666. HTML Genius memorized the website's address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Bikuga mobile reading website. zhhbqg.com. Chapter 639. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated even faster. Millions of novels will be read for free. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found online. This kiss lasted for a long time, and the night seemed to linger. The surroundings were so quiet that only the sound of kissing could be heard. It was so shy that the full moon hid behind the clouds. Xiaoheng's arms tightened little by little, and their bodies were tightly pressed together. The night wind in Chengdu was slightly cold, and his heart was boiling. He used a lot of restraint to let go of her. His right hand gently stroked her head, and her lips were tender and beautiful. Their foreheads touched, and their breaths intertwined. His heart, which had been empty for many days, finally felt a little comforted at this moment. He couldn't help but find her lips and kiss her again. Then Gu Jiao kissed him back. She knew that she had to respond. Xiaoheng chuckled softly, and his strong arms hugged her tightly. He said hoarsely above her head, "Jiao Jiao, if you continue like this, You won't be able to leave tonight. Gu Jiao didn't move. But after a while, she asked him especially bravely, when will the city gate close? Xiao Heng said, today is Haijing. Gu Jiao calculated and said, there's still a quarter of an hour. She meant that she could stay for another quarter of an hour. Xiao Heng stared at her and laughed. A quarter of an hour won't do. Ha. Gu Jiao looked at him strangely. Xiao Heng coughed violently. I mean a quarter of an hour. You can't make it. She meant that they could stay together for another quarter of an hour. What was he thinking? Fortunately, she was quick to change her mind. Oh. Gu Jiao raised her eyebrows and looked at him. Just when Xiao Lulang thought that she didn't understand anything, she suddenly questioned him with a scholarly spirit. Is that right? Novices always took seconds. Xiao Heng. When Gu Jiao returned to the residence, the 3 little boys were already asleep. As usual, Master Nan and Master Lu were waiting for her, while doing their own things in the courtyard. Master Nan brewed the poison. Master Lu vigorously performed 2 sets of martial arts before he went to fix the broken tables and stools in the house. Gu Jiao told them about her encounter with Xiao Heng, and both of them were stunned. Was that person Lulang? Was he the one who brought little Jing Kong to Chengdu? When they thought of little Jing Kong's pitiful and aggrieved expression, as if he had been abducted by a prostitute, the corners of their mouths twitched. How much did the little fellow dislike his brother-in-law? You can't smear my name like this. But when they thought of how Lulang had actually replaced Gu Jiao's identity and entered Kanglin Women's Academy, they couldn't help but feel a little amused. Gu Jiao took Xiao Liulang's admission certificate, and Xiao Lulang took Gu Jiao's admission certificate. What kind of huge blunder was this? I think it's a good thing. Master Lu said. Aren't there people in the Yin Kingdom who want to kill Lulang? They probably wouldn't have thought that Lulang was right under their noses. That's true. Master Nan nodded in agreement. Looking at it this way, it was a blunder. It was a good thing for Lulang, and it was also good for Gu Yan. If the one who entered the inner city was Gu Jiao, then Gu Yan would be separated from Gu Jiao. Now the person who couldn't leave Gu Jiao was Gu Yan. He was in danger and needed Gu Jiao's treatment at any time. Master Nan thought of something and asked, Then why didn't you recognize Liulang's handwriting? Gu Jiao said he changed his handwriting. The Zhao nation's handwriting was different from the Yin kingdom's. Gu Jiao had only seen Xiao Heng's Zhao nation's handwriting, but she had never seen his Yin kingdom's handwriting. Even if it was the Yin kingdom's handwriting, the handwriting he used to write in Zhao nation was very different from the handwriting he used to write in Yin kingdom. Xiao Heng was a very cautious person. He wouldn't leave any evidence for others to use against him in this kind of matter. What about little Jing Kong? Master Nan asked. Gu Jiao said, Go back to school in the inner city. Master Nan sighed. Then he will be sad. It wasn't easy for him to escape from the evil hands of his bad brother-in-law, but he was sent back in the blink of an eye. The little guy was going to cry. Gu Jiao could tolerate little Jing Kong's other matters, but there was no room for discussion about going to school. Early the next morning, little Jing Kong received the bad news that he was going to be sent back to the inner city. He held the bowl and felt that the rice in the bowl was no longer fragrant. He asked tearfully, Jiao Jiao, am I still the little boy you love the most? Gu Jiao rubbed his little head. But you still have to go to school. Little Jing Kong cried. Boo-hoo, little Shi will miss me. Who is little Shi? Before Gu Jiao could ask clearly, the horse king with a small braid and little flowers came directly from the backyard. He picked up little Jing Kong's small bag and put it outside the door. I approve. Tianqiong Academy was on holiday today, so there was no need to ask for leave. After breakfast, Gu Jiao took little Jing Kong into the carriage to enter the city. Gu Shaoshan sent the two to the inner city gate as usual. Gu Jiao took the inner city seal that Xiao Heng gave her last night, and held little Jing Kong's hand as they went to the city gate. The seal was issued by the Kanglin Women's Academy according to the personal documents. Gu Jiao and Jing Kong's names were written on it. Gu Jiao entered the city dressed as a woman and wore a veil, so the city guards didn't see any flaws. After entering the city, Gu Jiao hired a carriage. Get in. Little Jing Kong felt wronged. Gu Jiao said, I will visit you often. Little Jing Kong held the small bag and pouted. I need 2 kisses before I can get in. Gu Jiao kissed him twice. Little Jing Kong then carried the small bag and got into the carriage. Gu Jiao sent Little Jing Kong to the agreed place, a tea house near the Kanglin Women's Academy. It was inconvenient for the two to meet in public, so Little Jing Kong went in by himself. Xiao Heng was already waiting in the side room on the 2nd floor facing the street. Little Jing Kong went to the side room, opened the window, and leaned on the windowsill to report to Gu Jiao that he was safe. Xiao Heng hugged him with one arm, and his gaze had already landed on the carriage. Gu Jiao also looked at him. The two looked at each other from a distance. The last time they looked at each other like this was when he was paraded on the street as the top scholar. They wouldn't wait too long. After she cured Gu Yan and got rid of the Nangong family, they could walk on the street openly. Miss, where are we going next? The driver asked. To the South City Gate, Gu Jiao said. Is Miss in a hurry? The driver asked. Yes, Gu Jiao said. Then I'll take the shortcut. The driver waved his whip and drove the carriage away. Gu Jiao sat in the carriage and closed her eyes to rest. Halfway through the journey, the carriage suddenly stopped. What's wrong? Gu Jiao opened her eyes and asked. The driver hesitated and said, Miss, I'm afraid we'll have to change the route. Gu Jiao sensed that something was wrong. She lifted the curtain and looked outside. She saw that something was happening on the street in front of them. The people gathered around, and there seemed to be sounds of beating and cursing in the middle of the crowd. Let's change, Gu Jiao said. This wasn't the Zhao country. Her identity couldn't be exposed. It was better not to get involved in this kind of thing. Aya, someone is going to be beaten to death. Just as Gu Jiao was about to put down the curtain, an auntie's voice came from the side of the road. An old man not far from her said, Who is beating people? The auntie said, Who else? The young master of the Nangong family. Nangong? Gu Jiao's hand paused. She lifted the curtain slightly and looked at the auntie on the side of the road and asked, Excuse me, what happened in front? When the driver heard this, he put down the whip. The auntie sighed and said, AI, a few horse slaves drank too much wine and said a few disrespectful words to General Nangong. Young Master Nangong heard them. Young Master Nangong ordered people to beat them up. He said, to beat them to death. Gu Jiao asked, Aren't you afraid of being held accountable for beating them to death? The auntie sighed and said, It's just a few horse slaves. If they die, no one will care. Gu Jiao said again, Auntie, who is the General Nangong you mentioned? The auntie said, Nangong Li Daren. A while ago, he returned to his hometown to worship his ancestors. On the way, he was ambushed and seriously injured. When he returned to Chengdu, he was on the verge of death. Those horse slaves said that he couldn't cure them, which provoked young Master Nangong to make a big fuss. It was Nangong Li who injured Gu Yan. He actually didn't die. A middle-aged man said, It's not the first time young Master Nangong beat people to death. Last time, the servant of Assistant Minister Luo's family was tragically killed by him. That servant was a good citizen. Gu Jiao put down the curtain and asked the driver, Where is the Nangong family? The driver said, Miss, do you want to go to the Nangong family? The Nangong family moved to a new mansion near the Imperial Palace. If we go with a carriage like this, we will be arrested. Gu Jiao paused and asked, Is the Nangong family very powerful? Very powerful. The driver said, These years they have obtained military power and are becoming more and more powerful. If cough. The coachman stopped in time. If what? If Marshal Xianyuan was still alive, would it be the Nangong family's turn to be domineering? In the past, the Xianyuan family had millions of soldiers. How powerful were they? The Nangong family was just a dog that kneeled and licked the Xianyuan family's boots. After the Xianyuan family's rebellion was defeated, their military power was divided into 4 parts. They were divided between the Nangong family, the Han family, the Wang family, and the Mu family. Among them, the Nangong family contributed the most to the war against the Xianyuan family and obtained the most military power. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_896428226/10790851. HTML Genius memorized this site's address. www.zhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 640. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. Did no one report it to the authorities? Gu Jiao asked. The coachman was stunned. Miss, they are from the Nangong family. It's useless to report it. Is that so? Gu Jiao looked in the direction of the long street and murmured faintly. The coachman couldn't help but look back at Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao was wearing a veil and her face was covered. Only a pair of calm eyes could be seen. It was a bit offensive to say this, but the coachman had never seen such a beautiful and cold pair of eyes. She looked at the Nangong family without a trace of fear in her eyes. The coachman faintly had an illusion that the girl he was carrying would raise her sword and slash at the Nangong family, if he wasn't careful. The coachman was shocked by his own conjecture. Impossible, impossible. Although the Nangong family wasn't one of the top 10 families in Chengdu, that was only because they didn't have a deep foundation. It didn't mean that they didn't have the strength now. How could an ordinary person have the ability to compete with them? The people from the Duke's public house are here. Someone in the crowd suddenly shouted. The incident of the Nangong family beating up the horse slaves ended with the arrival of the second master of the Duke's public house. The Duke's public house was nearby. The second master of the Duke's public house must have returned from a trip and coincidentally encountered this incident. After the two sides negotiated for a while, the Nangong family left. The coachman said, the second master of the Duke's public house is famous for being a playboy. Only he can stop the Nangong family. If it was someone else, they wouldn't have the guts. Since the incident had ended so early, this Nangong family's young master, Gu Jiao, decided to meet him first. Gu Jiao left the money in the carriage and quietly got off. Then she found a ready-made clothing store and changed into a set of men's clothes that were convenient for traveling. She followed the Nangong family's young master. Her plan could not keep up with the changes. Just as she was about to find a suitable place to ambush, she was suddenly stopped by a carriage. The carriage stopped at the entrance of the alley. Gu Jiao planned to go around it. Unexpectedly, the person in the carriage lifted the curtain and called out to Gu Jiao in surprise. It's you? Gu Jiao glanced at her indifferently and recognized her as Muru Xian, whom she had met once at the High Duke's public house. Gu Jiao didn't intend to pay attention to Muru Xian. She turned around to go around the carriage from the back. However, a maid jumped down from the carriage and blocked Gu Jiao's path. Stop. My young miss is talking to you. Didn't you hear? Gu Jiao shot a cold glare at the maidservant. The maidservant was so scared that she trembled and took a few steps back to support herself on the carriage. At this moment, another carriage slowly drove over and stopped beside Muru Xian's carriage. The person in the carriage opened the window and asked softly, Divine Dr. Mu, what happened? Muru Xian looked at Gu Jiao and said, We met the doctor that young Master Mu invited from Zhao country. The doctor that my fourth brother invited? The young girl was shocked as she leaned half of her body out of the window and looked at Gu Jiao. Beside her, another head also popped out. What doctor? Let me see. Ha. Xiao Lulang. Gu Jiao held her forehead. Why did Su Shui also come? The young girl looked at Su Shui. You know him? Su Shui said excitedly, second sister. He's the classmate of fourth brother that I mentioned to you. He's fourth brother's friend. Muru Xian looked at Gu Jiao. So he's young Master Qing Chen's friend. I'm sorry for offending you last time. Gu Jiao had slapped her. Although she said those polite words, she might not really think that way. However, Gu Jiao didn't care. The Su family's second miss asked Muru Xian, "Have you met Divine Dr. Mu?" Muru Xian smiled and said, "We met once in the Duke's residence. Young Master Qing Chun brought young Master Xiao to treat the Duke's illness. Young Master Qing Chun had good intentions. I didn't expect that he would be used by someone." Used by someone? Is she saying that this young man is using fourth brother to curry favor, or bring disaster to the Duke's residence? The Su family's second miss expression instantly turned ugly. Su Shui angrily rebuked. "Clean your mouth. Who's using my fourth brother? Is my fourth brother the kind of person who would be used by others?" Muru Xian choked. The Su family's second miss said, "Third sister, don't be rude." Muru Xian was the disciple of Qin Country's divine Dr. Luo. Now, she was treated as a guest by the Duke's residence. Her status wasn't something that ordinary people could compare to. Moreover, they wanted her to treat old Mr. Meng's eldest disciple's cough. What's so great about him? Su Shui ignored her second sister and lifted her skirt as she ran down from the carriage. She stopped in front of Gu Jiao and asked with a smile, "You also know about medicine? Why haven't I heard you mention it before?" Muru Xian saw that Su Shui was neither cold nor warm to her, but polite to a half-baked quack with a disfigured face. A cold light flashed through her eyes. The Qin Country and Zhao Country had accumulated resentment for a long time. Muru Xian hated all the people of Zhao Country, not to mention that this person had slapped her face. Muru Xian narrowed her eyes and asked, "Young Master Xiao, since you're young Master Qing Chen's classmate, you must be studying at Tianqiong Academy. May I know why you've come to the inner city? Do you have a talisman to enter the city?" Su Shui's eyes flashed. She then remembered that Xiao Lulang didn't have a talisman to enter the inner city. She turned her head and glared fiercely at Muru Xian. What does it have to do with you? Why are you meddling in other people's business? Don't be a doctor. You might as well go catch mice. As the saying goes, if a dog catches a mouse, meddles in other people's business. Was Muru Xian calling her a dog? Muru Xian was furious. The Su family's third young miss had previously been indifferent to her, but she hadn't been this rude. It was all because of this Xiao Lulang that she had been going against her in every way, embarrassing her in front of everyone. Muru Xian looked coldly at Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao didn't care about Muru Xian at all. She also didn't care about Muru Xian's hostility. She said to Su Shui, "I still have matters to attend to, so I'll leave first. You should also hurry back." Su Shui wanted to say something but hesitated. She turned her head and looked at her elder sister on one side and Muru Xian on the other. It wasn't a good place to talk. Su Shui coughed lightly and said, "When fourth brother returns, I'll go to the academy to see him. I'll also go find you." "Get in the carriage," Gu Jiao said. Su Shui smiled and waved at Gu Jiao, intending to turn around and leave. Muru Xian, on the other hand, calmly moved her fingertips and pinched a broad bean on the table. With a flick of her finger, the broad bean shot toward Su Shui's knee. If it hit, Su Shui would definitely fall into Gu Jiao's crotch. If Gu Jiao saved her, it would be considered as taking advantage of Su Shui. If she didn't save her, it would be considered as not saving her. Su Shui would be bitterly disappointed, and the Su family's second young miss would be angry. Whether Gu Jiao saved her or not, it would be a dead end. Muru Xian waited to see Gu Jiao's end, but she didn't expect that even though she was fast, Gu Jiao was faster than her. The moment the broad bean shot out, the silver needle at Gu Jiao's fingertips also moved. The silver needle hit the broad bean, and suddenly shot toward Muru Xian. Muru Xian felt a sharp pain in her right shoulder, and she fell heavily on the floor of the carriage. The Su family's second young miss wasn't a martial artist, so she naturally didn't see the undercurrent. She only saw Muru Xian suddenly holding her shoulder and falling down. She hurriedly asked worriedly, "Divine Dr. Mu, what happened to you?" "Young miss." Muru Xian's maid walked up the carriage and helped Muru Xian up from the floor. Muru Xian held her aching shoulder and looked at Gu Jiao with cold sweat. "Young Master Xiao, you plotted against me without saying a word. Is this the etiquette of the Zhao people? You plotted against Divine Dr. Mu?" "No. Second elder sister. Xiao Lulang wouldn't plot against her. Gu Jiao picked up the broad bean that had fallen to the ground after hitting Muru Xian. There was a silver needle in the center of the broad bean. Gu Jiao pinched the silver needle. Muru Xian, remember to wash your hands before plotting against others next time. Su Shui used a handkerchief to wrap the silver needle and the broad bean. There were several kinds of pastries in Muru Xian's carriage. Gu Jiao hadn't touched the pastries in Muru Xian's carriage, but this broad bean was obviously stained with the powder of pineapple cake and chestnut cake. At that time, even the maid got out of the carriage. The only one who could touch this broad bean was Muru Xian herself. Su Shui suddenly understood. She looked at Muru Xian and said, I understand now. You plotted against Xiao Lulang first. Of course, Su Shui didn't know that Muru Xian was aiming at her. However, her words weren't wrong. Muru Xian was plotting against Xiao Lulang. Su Shui was just a tool for her to use. Gu Jiao came to Muru Xian's carriage and looked at her indifferently. Just now, I was just giving you a taste of your own medicine. Muru Xian instinctively had an ominous premonition. She wanted to dodge, but it was too late. With a crack, her arm was dislocated by Gu Jiao. This is a plot. Gu Jiao indifferently withdrew her hand and turned to leave. Muru Xian was originally invited by the Su family's second young miss to treat old Mr. Meng's eldest disciple's cough. However, after such a thing happened, she didn't want to treat anyone else. I'm not feeling well, so I'll take my leave first. Lu Yao, let's go. Yes. Young miss. Muru Xian's carriage left. Su Shui returned to her elder sister's side and snorted. Serves you right. The Su family's second young miss frowned slightly. Ever since the Ducan's condition improved, Muru Xian's treatment in the Duke's residence increased by more than one level. Not only did she wear the most fashionable and expensive satin, she ate the most sumptuous delicacies and lived in the most spacious and bright courtyard. Even the daughters of the Duke's residence didn't receive such treatment. Thinking about what had happened during the day, she simply couldn't control her anger. She had long regarded herself as a person of high status. How could she tolerate being humiliated by a person of low status? Lu Yao entered the room and said softly, Young miss, second madam sent someone to ask when the Duke's medicine will be ready. Muru Xian coldly sat on the chair and looked at her painfully reattached arm. She gritted her teeth and said, Tell second madam that I'm injured. I'm afraid I won't be able to treat the Duke for the next few days. Lu Yao reported the truth to second madam. Second madam immediately put down what she was doing and brought 1,000-year-old ginseng to visit Muru Xian. Muru Xian sat on the bed with gauze wrapped around her arm. She said in a haughty tone, Second madam is considerate. But as second madam can see, I'm afraid my arm will need to recuperate for a while. I won't be able to perform acupuncture or brew medicine. You injured your left arm, not your right arm. Why won't you be able to perform acupuncture or brew medicine? Second madam patiently said in a gentle voice. How about this? Give me the prescription and I'll have someone brew it. Muru Xian said, That's my master's secret prescription. How can I easily pass it on to an outsider? Second madam wasn't stupid. Muru Xian was obviously able to treat the Duke. She was deliberately putting on airs to discuss some conditions with them. Second madam smiled. Divine Dr. Mu were famous people. What will it take for you to continue treating the Duke? What did she say? Move to Tingyin Pavilion? That's right. She said Tingyin Pavilion is suitable for recuperation. In the study room, Second Master Jing slammed the pen in his hand on the table. Tingyin Pavilion is Yin Yin's courtyard. Even though Yin Yin is no longer here, the things Yin Yin used are still here. She can't even go in to take a look, let alone move in. Second madam sighed. I knew you wouldn't agree, so I rejected her. Yin Yin was eldest brother's only flesh and blood. Her belongings were eldest brother's life. Second Master Jing frowned. What did she say? Second madam said. She said it's fine if she doesn't move to Tingyin Pavilion, but she can't be bullied by others. She wants us to capture the brat who injured her and let her deal with him. Second Master Jing asked, Which brat? Second madam said, Mu Qingchen's classmate. He's from Zhao Kingdom. Last time, he came to the Duke's residence to treat eldest brother's illness. But it seems, he's just a quack and doesn't have any real skills. Second Master Jing hesitated for a while before saying, "All right, I'll go capture him." As long as she could treat eldest brother, not to mention a person from a lower country, even if it was a person from a higher country, he would still capture him for her. In order to express the importance he attached to Muru Xian, he decided to go personally. Second Master Jing was swift and decisive. After 2 hours he appeared at Tianqiong Academy. With the power of the Duke's residence, it wasn't difficult to find out the address of a student. Soon, Second Master Jing arrived at the residence where Gu Jiao was temporarily staying. The latest chapter of this book isn't finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels can be read for free. Novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet can be found here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1078906114. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in a second. www.zhhbqg.com Ting In Pavilion's mobile reading website. zhhbqg.com. Chapter 641. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are read for free. Novels that can't be found on the internet are all available here. It's here, right? Second Master Jing looked at the wooden door which had some paint peeling off, and thought that he was indeed a poor kid from a lower country. Even the place where he lived was so shabby. Second Master, I disdain to bully people from the lower country. But who asked you to overestimate yourself and be the enemy of divine Dr. Mu? For Big Brother to be safe soon, I have to wrong you. Second Master Jing said coldly, and raised his hand to knock on the door. This was the self-restraint that was engraved in his bones. But halfway through, he realized that he was here to catch someone and not to invite someone. To catch someone, I have to have the aura of catching someone. Second Master Jing retracted his hand and raised his chin as he majestically pushed open the wooden door of the courtyard. The scene in the courtyard was like this. Gu Yan was lying on a rattan chair to bask in the sun. Old Mr. Meng, who had just woken up from the knockout drug, was also lying on a rattan chair to bask in the sun. One was terminally ill and didn't have long to live, while the other was in a daze as he was still digesting the drug. Madame Nan was refining poison again. But as the saying goes, if one often walks by the river, how can one's shoes not be wet? She sneezed and the poison powder sprayed all over her face. She was successfully poisoned, and now she was leaning against the wall and spitting out black blood. Master Lu had just fought with the Horse King, and his right leg was cramping. He limped to the front courtyard. Second Master Jing looked at the courtyard full of old, weak and sick people and was dumbfounded. This is too miserable. It made him a little embarrassed to make a move. But then again, where is that kid? Although Second Master Jing had never seen Gu Jiao before, he had heard Second Madam's description. A teenager with a red birthmark on the left side of his face. This courtyard full of old, weak and sick people obviously wasn't him. Just as this thought flashed through his mind, Second Master Jing heard a burst of shocking sound. Someone was practicing martial arts, and it was a spear. The sound came from the backyard. Second Master Jing couldn't help but look towards the direction of the rear courtyard. He was standing outside the front courtyard, and was separated by the entire central room. He couldn't see the entire rear courtyard clearly. Only when Gu Jiao's figure appeared at the back door of the central room could he see her. However, this did not affect the shock that the young man brought to him. He could also tell that the youth's spear techniques were not flashy. Every thrust of the spear was like a swimming dragon, bringing with it the power to pierce through mountains and rivers. All of a sudden, Second Master Jing couldn't move. The youngster's figure only flashed past the door occasionally, but Second Master Jing felt an inexplicable excitement that he hadn't felt in a long time. He completely couldn't explain why. He even forgot that he was here to capture someone, and just silently admired the young man's marksmanship. Gu Jiao practiced the spear skills that the old marquis had taught her. As she practiced, she suddenly had an idea and used a move that she had never used before. This move was extremely powerful. It actually broke through the target in the backyard and flew towards the front yard. Second Master Jing's pupils shrank. Gu Jiao then realized that there was someone at the door. It was too late for her to draw her bow. She lifted her leg and kicked the quiver, causing an arrow to shoot out. Following that, she kicked her leg and the arrow hit the red-tasseled spear, changing the direction of the red-tasseled spear. The red-tasseled spear whooshed and shot at the door beside Second Master Jing. Second Master Jing touched his cold neck. Just an inch and he would be nailed to the door. The old, weak and sick people in the courtyard couldn't even take care of themselves. After glancing at him, they went to sunbathe, suffer from Alzheimer's, get poisoned and go to fix their legs. Second Master Jing. Gu Jiao walked over. After practicing for so long, she was sweating profusely and her cheeks were flushed. She exuded the heroic spirit and vitality of a young man. Looking at the young man walking towards him, Second Master Jing couldn't help but be absent-minded for a moment. For no reason, the image of his brother-in-law walking towards him many years ago flashed through his mind. At that time, he was just a dandy young man in Chengdu who needed to be beaten. One time, he was caught red-handed by the eldest son of the Xianyuan family for causing trouble on the street. At that time, he didn't know that that fellow would become his brother-in-law. He bragged that he would fight with him for 100 moves. In the end, his brother-in-law really beat him up for 100 moves, and he didn't have the strength to fight back. That day, when his brother-in-law walked towards him, he had the same look in his eyes, which reminded him of a wild wolf. The fear of being dominated by his brother-in-law surged into his heart. When Gu Jiao came in front of him, his whole body stiffened. "Who are you looking for?" Gu Jiao looked at him fixedly and asked. "I'm looking for you. I'm going to catch you so that Divine Dr. Mu can vent his anger." "I'm passing by." Second Master Jing cleared his throat and said. Seeing Gu Jiao looking at him indifferently, his heart thumped, looking for some water. Gu Jiao pulled out the red-tasseled spear from the door, and the door cracked. He didn't know how many times this had happened this month. There were 2 carpenters at home, so he wasn't afraid. Gu Jiao took the red-tasseled spear and went into the house to pour water for him. Second Master Jing weakly looked at the wooden door beside him. With another crack, the wooden door completely cracked into 2 halves and fell down. Second Master Jing patted his small chest. Oh my God, that gaze was too small. It was like his brother-in-law's. It scared him to death. Second Master Jing's fear towards his brother-in-law was bone deep. God knows how many times he had been beaten up by his brother-in-law. After his brother-in-law died in battle, his hands were trembling when he went to collect his brother-in-law's corpse. He always felt that his brother-in-law was going to come back to life and beat him up before he died. Gu Jiao poured a bowl of cold water and passed it to him. Second Master Jing looked at the broken bowl and curled his lips in disdain. He didn't want to drink at all. But when Second Master Jing met that gaze that was exactly the same as his brother-in-law's, he snatched it with both hands and gulped it down. Gu Jiao saw that he drank it so quickly and asked, "Do you want more?" "Of course not. I'm not here to drink water." "Thank you," Second Master Jing said. After saying that, he hated that he couldn't slap himself. "Jingsheng, oh Jingsheng, you have to be a little more mature. Your brother-in-law has been dead for so many years. You're so timid just because you met someone who has the same gaze as him. Are you still the #1 debauchee in Sheng City? Catch him. Tell him that if he dares to offend our Duke's family's godly doctor, he's dead meat." Gu Jiao poured a second bowl of water. "I'm from Duken's family," he said with a serious expression on his handsome face. Gu Jiao crossed her arms and looked at him indifferently. "So?" Second Master Jing felt guilty. "I heard that you've treated my eldest brother's illness." "Eldest brother?" So this person was the one who stopped Nangong Gongzi's violent act on the street this morning? Gu Jiao thought for a while. "Are you here to pay the consultation fee?" Second Master Jing choked. 500 taels. Gu Jiao said, "Fixed price." Second Master Jing. Second Master Jing walked out of the alley and sat on the horse carriage. He was a little confused. Hiss, is there a mistake? I'm here to catch someone. How come I didn't catch him, and even lost 500 taels? The coachman ran over and looked behind Second Master Jing, asking, Second Master, where's the person you went to catch personally? Second Master Jing kicked him on the butt. Of all times he touched a sore spot. Speaking of which, why do I think of my brother-in-law when I see him? Are you going to burn some paper money for your brother-in-law? Gu Jiao didn't know that Second Master Jing's heart was complicated and confused. She took the 500 taels and entered the courtyard. Gu Xiaoshun came back from grocery shopping. Master Nan and Master Lu were either poisoned or crippled, so she was in charge of making dinner. She planned to stew a pot of pork ribs, and was chopping the bones when Master Meng entered the house. Gu Jiao glanced at him. You're awake. She spoke in Zhao Nation's language. Master Meng looked at her strangely. After a while he opened his mouth and spoke in Zhao Nation's language. Girl? It's really you. When he first opened his eyes he wasn't fully awake. He looked at Gu Jiao and saw that she looked like the girl he used to play chess with in Zhao Nation, but he wasn't very sure. After basking in the sun for a whole afternoon and sweating all over, the effect of the medicine had dissipated. Now he was really sure. And it's me. Gu Jiao nodded. The next day, after washing his face, Gu Jiao also recognized him. He was the old beggar who set up the chess game near the chess club. Gu Jiao went to find him after returning from the frontier fortress, thinking that he had passed away. Gu Jiao spoke to him in her own voice. Master Meng looked at Gu Jiao with a puzzled face. Why are you in Yan Kingdom? Studying? Gu Jiao asked. Why are you in Yan Kingdom? Begging? Master Meng said. Gu Jiao. Master Meng. They were all speechless. Master Nan and the others didn't know that Master Meng and Gu Jiao were old friends in Zhao Nation. They only thought that Master Meng was an ordinary old man in Xingdu. After dinner, Master Meng asked Gu Jiao to come to the front yard to play chess. 10 taels per game, Gu Jiao said. Master Meng was stunned. No, why is it still 10 taels per game? Gu Jiao hesitated. Then 20 taels per game? Maybe the beggars in Yan Kingdom earn more money? Old Mr. Meng choked. Was that what he meant? With their current friendship, did they still need to talk about money? Master Meng gritted his teeth. I owe you first. He lost his money bag that night and had no money on him. Gu Jiao said. I'm running a small business. I don't accept credit. Master Meng. Are you running a small business? Are you running a business without any capital? Also, girl, do you know who I am? Do you know how many people want to play chess with me and I don't agree? Gu Jiao said again. If you don't have money, you can pay with other things. Do you have anything valuable on you? Why do you sound like you're robbing me? Master Meng had already changed his clothes. He was wearing Gu Xiaoshuan's old clothes, but Master Lu didn't throw his things away. He rummaged through a pile of washed clothes and found a brocade pouch. He took out a token from the brocade pouch. Gu Jiao said, here. Gu Jiao took it and looked at it. How much is an iron token worth? Master Meng said. This is not an ordinary iron token. It can be used as a talisman in the inner city. Don't you always sneak into the inner city? He had been unconscious at Gu Jiao's place for 2 days and heard some things. He knew that her brother was seriously ill, and she had been looking for a doctor for him. Oh, Gu Jiao reluctantly accepted it. Then I'll play a game with you. Master Meng almost vomited blood. The token of the chess master of the 6 countries was only worth 1 game. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_896/1078888259. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Bikagu mobile reading website. zhhbqg.com. Chapter 642. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. After Second Master Jing returned from Gu Jiao's residence, the first thing he did was to ask Second Madam to prepare some paper money for him. He wanted to burn some paper money. Second Madam was confused. Who are you burning paper money for? Second Master Jing said, My brother-in-law. Second Madam choked. Who are you cursing? After a pause, she thought of something and said, No, you only have a younger brother-in-law. When did you have a brother-in-law? She was the eldest daughter in the family. She didn't have an older brother, only a younger brother. Second Master Jing straightened his back and said, My older brother's brother-in-law is my brother-in-law. Second Madam. Yes, Second Madam remembered. When Second Master was young, he was a hooligan. Who knows how many times he was chased and beaten by the eldest son of the Xianyuan family. Later on, when he found out that Xianyuan Hao was his older brother's brother-in-law, in order to avoid being beaten, he followed suit and called him brother-in-law. In fact, there were so many sons of the Xianyuan family. Although Xianyuan Hao beat Second Master the most, he also protected Second Master the most. Therefore, Second Master was both afraid and respectful of Xianyuan Hao. Why did you suddenly think of burning paper money for him? Second Madam asked. Second Master Jing frowned and asked, Don't you think that boy from Zhao country, his eyes look like your brother-in-law's? Second Madam said strangely, You mean Mu Qingchen's classmate? That swindling quack? Second Master Jing nodded. Wasn't he a swindler? Today he cheated him of 500 taels. I don't think so. Second Madam shook her head. How can a person from a lower country look like a son of the Xianyuan family? It's not his looks, it's his eyes. That kind of murderous look. Second Master Jing tried his best to explain, but Second Madam was still confused. Obviously, she didn't understand what he meant. Second Master Jing waved his hand. Forget it. You haven't been beaten by your brother-in-law. You don't understand. Of course, Second Madam didn't understand. She was a woman and only saw Xianyuan Hao a few times. How could she pay attention to his eyes? Second Madam glared at her husband. I think you're bewitched? Did that brat have some kind of sorcery? Or did you let that brat put the goo in it? She actually said that the brat's eyes looked like Xianyuan Hao's? How was this possible? Xianyuan Hao was Xianyuan Li's most outstanding son. He was brought along by Xianyuan Li at the age of 7. He entered and exited the barracks and was familiar with the art of war. He followed his father into battle at the age of 12 and never lost a battle. That didn't seem right either. He had lost the last battle of his life and died after being pierced by 10,000 arrows. Second Madam's thoughts ran far away without her noticing. She was the one who said that she was possessed, but now she thought of Xianyuan Li's death. Second Master Jing seriously considered Second Old Madam's words, and felt that this possibility was not high. At that time, he was at the door and that brat was in the backyard. They were so far away, how could that brat put the goo in him? It doesn't matter. Go and get some paper money first. Second Madam gave him a sidelong glance. Okay, I'll go prepare in a while, but if you don't catch her back, how will you explain it to Divine Dr. Mu? Thinking about Muru Xian, Second Master Jing had a headache. On the other side, Gu Jiao and old Mr. Meng sat at the stone table in the front yard and finished a game of chess. Old Mr. Meng began to explain the chess game. You see, if you didn't make this move, you might have won. Gu Jiao listened to the old man's recount of the chess game carefully. The old man had a good memory and his chess skills were really good. In the past, he hid his skills in Zhao country. Old Mr. Meng pinched the black chess piece and put it down. Here or here you can't live, so you made the right move. Gu Jiao said. You don't have to say it's right, just say it's wrong. Old Mr. Meng looked at Gu Jiao with appreciation. Her mentality was good. Thinking that this game of chess was exchanged with the token of the chess sage of the 6 countries, old Mr. Meng explained in detail. But it seemed that something was reversed. Do you remember what I said just now? Okay, then let's play another game, let's see if you can really master it. No, Gu Jiao said. I said I'd only play one round. Old Mr. Meng. I, the chess sage of the 6 countries, teach you how to play chess, and you dislike it. I don't even have so much patience with my own apprentice. Don't you know how to cherish it? When I leave, you'll regret it. Gu Jiao thought of something and asked him. When are you leaving? Old Mr. Meng's old blood was stuck in his throat. He took a deep breath and said angrily, Your little brother Xiao He blew me up like this, and he didn't even let me recover before driving me away. Gu Jiao, oh. Old Mr. Meng secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he was knowledgeable and stabilized himself in time. If he really left, how could he find this girl to play chess? Gu Jiao said, Walk the horse every day, food and accommodation are provided. Old Mr. Meng. Gu Jiao took the token that old Mr. Meng won by playing chess and returned to her room. The old man said that it could be used as a talisman. She had the talisman that Xiao Heng gave her, and the two things were completely different. A special talisman. Gu Jiao murmured. If the token that the old man gave her could really be used as a talisman in the inner city, then it would be much safer than using Gu Jiao talisman. Gu Jiao decided to test it at the inner city gate after school tomorrow. The next day, Gu Jiao got up before dawn and went to the backyard to practice the red tasseled spear for a while. Gu Xiaoshan only woke up after she finished practicing. After breakfast, the siblings set off for Tianqiong Academy. Their clothes were made. Gu Xiaoshan went to the academy to get them back yesterday, so they changed into Tianqiong Academy's uniform today. Sister, you look so good in our uniform. Gu Xiaoshan walked in front and looked at Gu Jiao as he walked backward. Gu Jiao agreed. I also think I look good. As soon as she finished speaking, her eyes darkened. Xiaoshan. It was too late. Gu Xiaoshan had already bumped into them. He was walking backward. In the past, there were not many people on this road. Who would have thought that there would be more than 10 people blocking the alley? Brother Qin. It's this guy. A young man with a bruised nose and swollen face pointed at Gu Jiao and said. Gu Jiao recognized him. He was the 5 Mountains Academy student that she had beaten into shrimp last time. She had heard Zhou Tong mention him later. This person was called Wu Feng, and he was from Shengdu. He was considered a moderate troublemaker in 5 Mountains Academy, and had a group of brothers under him. Gu Jiao had never heard Zhou Tong mention this brother Qin. However, it seemed that he was not a kind person. Brother Qin grabbed Gu Xiaoshuan's collar and coldly curled his lips. He looked at Gu Jiao and said, You're the one who bullied my brother? Gu Jiao looked at him indifferently without a trace of fear in her eyes. If you still want your hands, let go of him. Brother Qin laughed mockingly. He raised his hand and threw a punch at Gu Xiaoshuan's stomach. He was a martial artist and used almost 70% of his strength. This punch was enough to rupture Gu Xiaoshuan's spleen. It was just a fight. Even Gu Jiao had not been so ruthless when teaching Wu Feng and the others a lesson. Gu Jiao's eyes turned cold. Her fingertips moved and a silver needle flew out and pierced his wrist. His arm went numb and Gu Xiaoshan struggled free. Catch him. Brother Qin gritted his teeth and shouted. More than a dozen people in the alley rushed forward. Gu Jiao stepped forward and pulled Gu Xiaoshan behind her. She raised her leg and kicked the person who rushed at the front. He was sent flying and fell on 4 or 5 people. Gu Jiao directly stepped on them. Everyone felt like their ribs were broken. After stepping on them, Gu Jiao kicked Brother Qin, who had recovered, and sent him flying to the wall. He fell heavily on the ground. Gu Jiao walked over and stepped on his chest. He was about to get up, but she directly pressed him to the ground. Brother Qin did not expect this kid to be so fierce. He had brought more than a dozen people, but it was over before it even started. There were still 7 or 8 students from Wuyue Academy left. Seeing this, they did not dare to go forward. They were not new students. They were old students who had studied in the academy for many years. They had always been the ones bullying others. They had never been taught a lesson by a new student. Not to mention a new student from Tianqiong Academy. Tianqiong Academy was a literary academy. It was full of bookworms. Gu Jiao looked at him condescendingly. Do you want your hand or your life? Brother Qin's face was red from being stepped on. He looked at Gu Jiao fiercely. Do you know who I am? My father is from the Nangong family. Ah. Crack. Gu Jiao broke his ribs. Say it again. Who is your father? My father is from the Nangong family. Ah. Gu Jiao broke another one of his ribs. Gu Jiao's eyes suddenly emitted a biting cold murderous aura. She smiled evilly. Say it again. Who is your father? Brother Qin did not dare to say anything. He was scared silly by Gu Jiao. How could a young man who looked less than 17 years old be so terrifying? Gu Jiao looked at the silent crowd and said coldly, Don't you people from Wuyue Academy appear around Tianqiong Academy in the future. If I'm unhappy, I will beat you up, like this. After she finished speaking, she stepped on Brother Qin again. Crack. 2 more of his ribs were broken. He fainted on the spot. Digression. The third night watch is here. Is there a monthly ticket for me to sneak in? The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1078855017. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Biku Pavilion Mobile Reading Website. ZHHBQG. Chapter 643. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more frequently. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. These people were stunned by Gu Jiao's actions. Who said that the students of Tianqiong Academy were all nerds and easy to bully? Open your eyes wide and take a look. Is this still a nerd? What kind of nerd would be so ruthless? Wuyue Academy was a martial arts academy, and everyone there was a martial arts practitioner. Yet, they couldn't even defeat a freshman from Tianqiong Academy. Where could they go to find reason? After Gu Jiao dealt with these students, she left with Gu Xiaoshun. Sister, will they complain? Gu Xiaoshun asked. Logically speaking, they wouldn't. The main reason was that these people were shameless. If word got out that they were beaten up by a scholar, they wouldn't care about their reputation anymore. Gu Jiao's guess was right. None of these people were shameless enough to spread the news. However, it just so happened that the person they beat up was seen by the parent of a Wuyue Academy student who was passing by. The parent immediately informed Wuyue Academy. Before noon, the dean of Wuyue Academy and 2 teachers brought a few injured students into Tianqiong Academy. Dean Sin of the Tianqiong Academy was on duty and watering his beloved potted peony. When he heard his servant report that the people from the Wuyue Academy were here, his first reaction was, Our academy students are being bullied by them again? These people from Wuyue Academy were shameless and tyrannical. There weren't many academies nearby that hadn't been tortured by them. It wasn't that they could bully anyone. No one dared to provoke a noble young master like Mu Qingchen. However, there were thousands of students in the academy. Who could guarantee that every one of them was Mu Qingchen? The servant said embarrassedly, It seems like our students beat up their students. Dean Sin was speechless. This was the first time Dean Wu of Wuyue Academy encountered such a situation. Usually it was others who complained to their academy. Today the tables had turned. They actually went to complain to others. In Dean Sin's duty room, Dean Wu let Dean Sin and the other teachers of the Tianqiong Academy, who didn't have classes in the morning, take a look at the 8 students he had brought. These 8 students were all involved in the fight in the morning. Without exception, their faces were all bruised and swollen. One of them was seriously injured and sent to the clinic. He couldn't get out of bed at all, so he didn't come to the scene. Look, this is what your Tianqiong Academy has done, Dean Wu said coldly. Dean Sin's eyes lit up. Was it really done by a student of our academy? Wu Fuzi cleared his throat. Cough. Principal Tsin's expression turned cold as he sternly said, "You said it was done by a student of our academy? What evidence do you have?" Dean Wu pointed at the group of bruised and swollen students and said angrily, "They are the evidence." "Who did it?" President Tsin whispered to Wu Fuzi. Wu Fuzi's lips didn't move. He squeezed out a voice that only the two of them could hear. "They said it was a freshman with a birthmark on his face. He should be Xiao Lulang from Clear Heart Hall. Anyone who came to the academy was a student of the academy." When Wu Fuzi differentiated them, he didn't say which country they were from. He just said they were from a certain hall. This name sounded familiar. Dean Tsin frowned and thought for a moment. Is he the freshman who went to the brothel on his first day here and got a demerit point? Wu Fuzi said. Yes, that's him. He paused and then added. He was also the one who tamed the Horse King. When the Horse King was mentioned, Dean Tsin remembered how he was almost trampled to death by the Horse King. His face darkened. Dean Wu said coldly, Tianqiong Academy must give us an explanation today. Dean Tsin laughed. What explanation do you want? Dean Wu said. You can't afford to be a teacher. Your academy has an unshirkable responsibility for producing such a student. You must compensate us for all the medical expenses and losses. Also, you must apologize to our academy. That student must also apologize to the student who was injured by him. Finally, this kind of lawless person doesn't deserve to be a student of Shengdu. It's better to expel him. A teacher from Tianqiong Academy whose surname was Yang couldn't stand it anymore. Isn't Wuyue Academy's hand a bit too far? How we deal with our students is our academy's business. It's not up to you to interfere. What's more, haven't the students of the academy caused any trouble outside? What did you say at that time? It was just a student who was impulsive and let his emotions affect his decisions. Why do you have to make such a big fuss? If you make a big fuss, this kid's future will be ruined. Now you're not afraid of ruining his future? Wu Fuzi secretly gave his colleague a thumbs up. As expected of a teacher who taught policy, his debating skills were very good. The teachers from Wuyue Academy were choked. Their academy had always been domineering. If they bullied others, they would turn the matter into a small one. It was normal for them to act shamelessly and play Tai Chi. Dean Wu suddenly thought of the crux of the matter. But no one is as ruthless as you. Do you know that there's a student in our academy who's almost dead? Teacher Yang from Tianqiong Academy said. Just because you say it's our students who did it, does it mean it's our students? Do you think your dozen or so martial arts students can't beat a new student from our academy? No one will believe it if this gets out, right? The faces of the people from Wuyue Academy all turned red. Dean Wu was so angry that he became muddle-headed. Only now did he realize that more than 10 martial arts students had been defeated by a new student. It was so embarrassing. Dean Tsin said, All right, go and call that Xiao Lulang over. Let's hear what he has to say. Gu Jiao came over with Gu Xiaoshan. After all, according to the people from Wuyue Academy, Xiao Lulang had a little accomplice who didn't really fight. Dean Tsin looked at Gu Jiao and asked, They said that you beat them up. Do you have anything to say? Gu Jiao glanced at them coldly. The group of Wuyue Academy students trembled like mice that had seen a cat. Dean Wu glared at the students of his academy. What are you afraid of? He thought. Could it be more embarrassing? Gu Xiaoshan was about to say. Dean Tsin, they started it first. There's someone called Brother Qin among them. He caught me and wanted to beat me up. Xiao Lulang attacked. However, Gu Jiao said without changing her expression. I don't know them. I've never seen them before. I've never beaten them up. The students from Wuyue Academy were stunned. Was she that shameless? She had already beaten them up and she still didn't admit it? Where was the courage you had when you pinched us to death? Did you have the courage to step on Brother Qin's chest and ask for his life or his hand? If you have the ability, continue to fight. Gu Jiao, I'm not stupid. You can fight all you want. It's not worth it to fight the dean. You'll get a demerit. She was Xiao Lulang, the model student. Dean Wu was used to this kind of trick. The only difference was that they used to fool others. This was the first time someone used this kind of trick to fool them. Dean Wu said angrily, You're lying. Gu Jiao looked at him indifferently. How do you know I'm lying? You know so well. Have you done it before? Are you an old hand? Dean Wu was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. Whatever his sister said was right. Gu Xiaoshan immediately changed the topic and said seriously, "That's right. We didn't even see you today. Who knows who beat you up? You just have to blame it on us." Dean Wu was so angry that he rose to heaven. "Are you that great? Why do you have to blame it on you? You have to weigh your own weight. You're just two inferior people. What's there for us to spend so much effort to slander and scheme against you?" What he said made sense. Who knew that Gu Jiao didn't even lift her eyelids and said without a guilty conscience? Then you have to ask yourselves, who knows what kind of evil ideas you have in your stomach? Dean Wu was so angry that his whole body was trembling. You two are simply reversing right and wrong, twisting words and forcing logic, full of nonsense. A teacher from Wuyue Academy walked forward and looked at Gu Jiao. "You said that you didn't beat them up. Do you have evidence to prove your innocence?" "Yes." Suddenly, a young man's resolute voice came from outside the door. It was Zhou Tong. Zhou Tong saluted Dean Sin and the teachers of Tianqiong Academy in the room on duty and said, "Dean Sin, teachers, Xiao Lulang was resting in his room last night. He didn't leave the academy at all. I can testify." As soon as he finished speaking, another student of Clear Heart Hall walked over and said, "I can also testify." "Me too." The third student of Clear Heart Hall. Then the fourth, the fifth. Almost all the students of Clear Heart Hall came over. Yesterday the academy had a break. We had an appointment with Xiao Lulang to play polo in the pasture. We played a bit late and drank a few cups at night. Then we went fishing. On the way back, we bought some dried vegetable pancakes from a shop on the east side of Three Flowers Street. In the middle of the night, I couldn't sleep. When I went to the washroom, I saw that the lights in Xiao Liulang's room were still on. I went in to say hello. He wasn't feeling well in the morning. I bought him a bowl of porridge and sent it to his room. He spilled the porridge. The group of people spoke very vividly, as if Xiao Lulang had really been with everyone last night. Flaws were impossible. If so many people couldn't even make up a story, how could these literary students write policy essays and eight-legged essays? They couldn't beat you in a fight, but they couldn't make up a story. The students of Five Mountains Academy were all dumbfounded. Dean Wu said angrily, "You colluded with each other. Of course, people from your own academy will cover up for your own students." Zhou Tong put one hand behind his back and said calmly, "If our testimonies are the same, then we're covering up for each other. What about you slandering our academy together? Your testimonies are testimonies, but our testimonies aren't? How about this? Let's directly report this to the authorities and let them decide. We can also let the world see how a freshman from our Tianqiong Academy defeated so many students from your Wuyue Academy with his own strength. Dean Sin, let's open a martial arts class. This is a great opportunity for Tianqiong Academy to make a name for itself. After all, the students of Tianqiong Academy who have been teaching for several years can't even compare to the freshmen who have been teaching for 3 days. These literary students were really good at talking. Every sentence hit the nail on the head. Dean Wu's face turned green and red. To put it bluntly, he couldn't make a big deal out of it. He couldn't afford to lose face. At this moment, he already regretted asking for an explanation. Wasn't this asking for humiliation? In the end, the people of Five Mountains Academy didn't get any explanation. They were still angry. They gritted their teeth and walked away with a dark face. However, before they left, Dean Wu of Five Mountains Academy stopped and looked back at Gu Jiao coldly. No one knew if he was talking to Gu Jiao or everyone in Tianqiong Academy. Do you really think this matter is over? You probably don't know that Luo Qin's father is the deputy general of the Nangong family. Our academy can let it go, but the Nangong family. Dean Wu, you don't have to worry about the Nangong family. A deep and clear voice sounded from outside the door. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw Mu Qingqian, who was wearing a blue and white academy uniform, walking over calmly. Mu Qingqian? Dean Wu frowned. Mu Qingqian cupped his hands at Dean Sin and walked into the duty room. He stood beside Gu Jiao and said, Xiao Lulang is a student of Tianqiong Academy. Please tell Luo Qin that I, Mu Qingchen, don't care about a mere deputy general of the Nangong family. As soon as these words came out, everyone's hearts trembled. Mu Qingchen was the leader of the 4 great young masters of Xingdu. His father was from the Su family, which was ranked 9th. His mother was from the Mu family, which was ranked 5th. His great-aunt was the Wang family, which was ranked 3rd. The military power of the Xianyuan family was divided into 4 families: the Nangong family, the Han family, the Wang family, and the Mu family. This showed how noble Mu Qingchen's identity was. Dean Wu didn't say anything else and left with a gloomy face. Dean, we will also leave first. Mu Qingchen said to Dean Sin, wait. Dean Sin stopped all the students except Mu Qingchen. Go back and copy the Analects of Confucius. Don't miss a single word. These little bastards were lying to the heavens. Did they think he couldn't see through them? Dean Sin looked at Gu Jiao and said, and you, Xiao Lulang, you will be recorded as a demerit. If he didn't record a demerit, he would hit him again next time. When they came out of the duty room, the morning class was over. Do you want to eat? Mu Qingchen asked. Gu Jiao was a little depressed when she thought about being recorded again. However, she still had to eat. Yes. She replied indifferently. Didn't you go out to do something? Why are you back so soon? It's done. Gu Jiao noticed that he was holding a bag in his hand. Your stuff is going to fall out. Gu Jiao pointed at his bag. As soon as she said that, the little doll in Mu Qingchen's bag couldn't withstand the force and fell out. Mu Qingchen quickly caught it and stuffed it back into the bag without showing it to Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao looked at him strangely. He hesitated for a moment before explaining. A childhood playmate gave it to me. Gu Jiao. Oh. It was a little doll. She had seen it, and it was quite ugly. By the way, do you recognize this? Gu Jiao took out a token and handed it to him. She had planned to try it out herself, but since Mu Qingchen was here, it wouldn't hurt to ask him. Mu Qingchen's expression changed when he saw the bronze token. Why do you have this? Gu Jiao rolled her eyes. I do have it. Can I enter the inner city with it? Mu Qingchen said indifferently, you could have. Let alone the inner city, you could have even entered the State Preceptor Hall. But now the owner of this token is missing, so you'd better not use it. Gu Jiao said. Can I enter the State Preceptor Hall? Mu Qingchen. Is that my point? Mu Qingchen said earnestly. No matter how you got it, you'd better not take it out. Otherwise you'll be arrested as an assassin. Gu Jiao asked. Then who is the owner of this token? Mu Qingchen paused and said seriously, the chess master of the 6 kingdoms, Mr. Meng. An old man. Gu Jiao touched her chin. Has he been to the state of Zhao? Has he been a beggar? Has he spent money to play chess with others? Mu Qingchen looked at Gu Jiao as if she was an idiot. Are you talking about Mr. Meng? He hasn't been to the state of Zhao. Also, do you know how honorable Mr. Meng is? I want to play chess with him, but I can't even use money. Being a beggar? What do you think? Gu Jiao nodded seriously. I don't think it's possible. By the way, do many people know Mr. Meng? Mu Qingchen shook his head. Mr. Meng doesn't like to deal with people. Not many people have seen him. When he came to the academy to play chess last time, I just watched him through a curtain. I didn't see his face. Gu Jiao asked again. Haven't the people of the State Preceptor Hall seen him? Mu Qingchen thought carefully and said. The State Preceptor probably saw him. As for the other disciples, they only know his carriage and token. Gu Jiao touched her chin. I see. I understand. I understand everything. Mu Qingchen looked at her in confusion. What do you understand? Gu Jiao patted him on the shoulder. Help me ask for leave this afternoon. Mu Qingchen frowned and looked at her hand. Where are you going? The State Preceptor Hall. You will be caught if you take this token to the State Preceptor Hall. Gu Jiao rushed back to the house as fast as she could. She led the horse out, put on the reins and shafts, and dragged the little old man who was lying in the yard and enjoying the sun side by side with Gu Yan into the carriage. Mr. Meng was confused. What are you doing? Gu Jiao said seriously. Pretend to be someone for me and take me to the State Preceptor Hall. Pretend to be who? The Chess Sage of the Six Kingdoms. Mr. Meng, the real chess sage of the Six Kingdoms, was speechless. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found on the internet. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1078713000. HTML Genius remembered the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bkuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 644. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. Gu Jiao said with great ambition. I've asked around. Not many people know the chess saint of the Six Nations. Among the places I'm going and the people I might meet along the way, only the state preceptor has seen him. After I enter the state preceptor hall, you come out immediately. You don't have to meet the state preceptor face to face. Old Master Meng said expressionlessly, You're quite thoughtful. Of course. Gu Jiao cleared her throat and changed her voice into a teenager's. I have a few lines for you. Old Master Meng's mouth twitched. He didn't know if he was speechless at her voice or that she actually came with her own plot. What if I don't agree? I'll play a game of chess with you. Old Master Meng. My real body is only worth a game of chess? Wait. Gu Jiao suddenly thought of something. She jumped out of the carriage and went into the room to change into a teenager's outfit that was convenient for traveling. Tianqiong Academy's uniform was too conspicuous. It wouldn't be good if people blocked the entrance of the inner city. The Horse King didn't need anyone to drive it. Gu Jiao pulled the reins and told it to turn left or right. It avoided when it should and overtook when it should. It simply achieved a semi-automatic driving of the carriage. Gu Jiao took out a charcoal pencil and a small notebook in the carriage and wrote 2 large pages, listing all the unexpected situations they might encounter along the way. Then she showed it to Old Master Meng. Old Master Meng looked at the embarrassing lines and almost couldn't help but tell her that she didn't need to act. He was her. Gu Jiao suddenly said, I came out in a hurry and forgot about the coachman. The main reason was that the Horse King was too powerful. It could walk on its own, making people feel that the coachman was dispensable. It was unlike the horses at home in the past. They wouldn't walk without a whip. Gu Jiao said seriously, You're the chess saint of the Six Nations. You must have a coachman to match your status. I think you can be the coachman. Old Master Meng said. Gu Jiao sighed. It's not that I can't be a coachman, but I have to enter the Royal Preceptor Hall later. If I go in, I won't come out. Won't it be suspicious if the outside of the carriage is empty? The corner of Old Master Meng's mouth twitched again. You've really understood this logic. Haven't you thought about the fact that the chess sage of the Six Nations can't be impersonated? Mu Qingchen had no idea that Gu Jiao was trying to impersonate him. Otherwise, he would have stopped her with all his might. There was once someone who pretended to be the chess sage of the Six Nations. After being discovered, that person was executed in public. Since then, no one dared to do such a thing. Moreover, Mu Qingchen's understanding of Old Master Meng was not entirely correct. Old Master Meng did not like to be watched while playing chess. He always drew a screen or curtain to concentrate on playing chess, not to maintain any strange sense of mystery. He often left and entered the city, so there were quite a few guards who recognized him. As for the fact that the royal preceptor was the only one who had seen him, it was just Mu Qingchen's personal guess. It did not represent the reality. Mu Qingchen did not know that he had been to the Zhao kingdom, been a beggar, and spent money to find people to play chess. It was obvious that Mu Qingchen's understanding of Old Master Meng was not reliable. Speaking of which, how did you pick up this token? Gu Jiao asked. Old Master Meng glanced at her, I just found it. Gu Jiao said. Oh, you're quite good at finding it. When they passed through the checkpoint of the inner city, Gu Jiao sat outside and acted as the coachman. She asked Old Master Meng to hand the token of the chess sage of the 6 nations to the guards. Then she turned her head and winked at Old Master Meng in the carriage. It was time to say her lines. Old Master Meng pinched his thigh and endured the great shame in his heart. He said to the guards, I'm the great chess sage of the 6 nations, Old Master Meng. The city guards were all stunned. What kind of nonsense is this girl writing? How could she call herself that? Old Master Meng took a deep breath and said in an arrogant tone emphasized by Gu Jiao, Why don't you let me in? The guards were dumbfounded. They were supposed to let him in. When had they ever stopped him? Weren't you the one who showed us the medallion? Old Master Meng put down the curtain with a bang. Gu Jiao gave Old Master Meng a thumbs up. His impromptu performance of slamming the curtain was good. It highlighted his character. Old Mr. Meng gritted his teeth. I was angry, ashamed. After entering the inner city, Gu Jiao found a nearby carriage shop and hired a coachman. The coachman knew the terrain of the inner city very well. Soon the carriage arrived at the royal preceptor palace. He did not know who was in the carriage, but he heard that ordinary people could only enter through the corner gate. So he stopped the carriage outside the corner gate. Old Master Meng said calmly, Go forward through the gate. Gu Jiao had already sat back in the carriage. She nodded. Yes, with your status, you should go through the gate. She looked at the old man with appreciation. He had a thorough understanding of the role, and had learned to add scenes for himself. Old Master Meng's face darkened. I don't want to talk to you. Both the gate and the corner gate were guarded. Gu Jiao sat in the carriage, and held up a small notebook for Old Master Meng. Old Master Meng clenched his fists. Could he not say anything? Gu Jiao shook her head decisively. Old Master Meng lifted the curtain. Stop. The carriage stopped. Old Master Meng handed the token to the guard of the royal preceptor palace. He glanced at the notebook held up by Gu Jiao and said shamefully, I'm the honorable guest of the royal preceptor palace, the most sincere friend of the royal preceptor, the great chess sage of the 6 nations, Old Master Meng. The guard of the royal preceptor palace was speechless. The carriage drove straight in. Well, you can go now. I'll go in and have a look myself, Gu Jiao said to Old Master Meng. She had a bottom line when it came to cheating people. She usually did things that were too dangerous. Old Master Meng suddenly didn't know what to say. She didn't cheat people when she should, but she cheated people when she didn't need to. He stopped her. What do you want to do in the royal preceptor palace? Gu Jiao didn't hide it from him. Gu Yan needs an operation. I want to see if there is a suitable place for him in the royal preceptor palace. Old Master Meng knew that the royal preceptor palace had excellent medical skills. However, he had never been treated in the royal preceptor palace. He paused and said, Wait a minute. I'll find someone to take you there. Then, Old Master Meng lifted the curtain and waved to a disciple of the royal preceptor palace not far away. Come here. The disciple walked over quickly. Old Master Meng said, I'm Old Master Meng. The disciple thought, I know. Old Master Meng coughed softly and said, Is the royal preceptor here? The disciple said, The royal preceptor is traveling. Old Master Meng asked again, Is your eldest senior brother here? The disciple hurriedly said, Yes. Do you want to see our eldest senior brother? I'll call him here now. Old Master Meng looked at Gu Jiao and said, No need. My young friend here has something to ask him. You can take him to your eldest senior brother. Old Master Meng said calmly and said to Gu Jiao, I'll wait for you outside. Gu Jiao was just short of clapping for him. His acting skills were too perfect. Old Master Meng waited for Gu Jiao outside the royal preceptor palace. Without any worries, Gu Jiao followed the disciple to find the eldest senior brother. Because someone led the way, Gu Jiao couldn't wander around the royal preceptor palace. She couldn't appreciate the whole view of the royal preceptor palace, but the scenery along the way was very good. There were jade buildings and water pavilions, simple and elegant without losing the elegance. The deeper they went, the darker the color of the buildings. Gu Jiao faintly felt a simple and mysterious aura. and she felt a little familiar with it. Are they men of sacrifice? Gu Jiao asked. The disciple looked around and looked at Gu Jiao in surprise. Young master, can you sense the men of sacrifice nearby? Yes. Gu Jiao nodded. She seemed to be naturally sensitive to the aura of the men of sacrifice. Maybe it was because they had something in common in fighting. The men of sacrifice in the royal preceptor palace were very powerful. In less than a quarter of an hour, she had already sensed at least 10 auras that were not weaker than Sirius. Gu Jiao suddenly felt a little lucky that the old man had such a trick. If she really searched secretly, it would be difficult for her to come and go freely under the eyes of so many masters. We're here. The disciple pointed to a library and said, Eldest senior brother is inside. Please allow me to report to him. Thank you. Gu Jiao said. The disciple went to report. Not long after, he came out of the library and said to Gu Jiao, Young master, my eldest senior brother wants to see you. Gu Jiao nodded and walked up the stairs. She looked at the shoes that she left at the door and took off her own shoes. Only her white footwear stepped on the spotless floor. In the library, rows and rows of bookshelves were filled to the brim with the rich fragrance of books. The library was quiet, and there were about a dozen disciples of the Imperial Preceptor Hall arranging the books on the bookshelves. However, no one made the slightest sound. After passing through the bookshelves, there was a wooden platform about a foot high. The platform was like a small open study. A man wearing a dark blue robe was sitting behind a low table on the wooden platform. Facing the bookshelves, he was writing something. Probably seeing Gu Jiao's shadow on the ground, he raised his head and revealed a handsome young face. He slightly smiled. Are you Mr. Meng's little friend? Gu Jiao nodded. Yes, my surname is Xiao. Please sit. He pointed to the cushion that was just placed in front of him. Young Master Xiao can call me Yi Qing. Gu Jiao sat down in front of the eldest disciple, Yi Qing. Yi Qing's robe was not the same as the robes of the Royal Preceptor Palace disciples. It could be seen that he had a high status in the Royal Preceptor Palace. He had an otherworldly temperament. When he smiled, it made people feel close to him, but they also didn't want to get too close to him. It was a sense of distance that was appropriate. Yi Qing put down the pen and paper in his hands. A disciple brought him a basin of water to wash his hands. His hands were actually very clean, but washing them before pouring tea for guests was etiquette. The disciple left. He personally poured tea for Gu Jiao and poured a cup of tea for himself. He asked with a smile, May I know why young Master Xiao came to the Royal Preceptor Palace? Gu Jiao looked at him and said, My brother has a heart disease and needs surgery. Heart disease surgery? Yi Qing pondered for a moment. Our Royal Preceptor Palace is indeed proficient in medical skills, but I'm afraid that ordinary doctors can't do such a big operation. Gu Jiao's eyes moved slightly. She felt that she saw the hope of Gu Yan's recovery. So your Royal Preceptor Palace can perform such a complicated operation? Yi Qing smiled and said, My master can. My master's medical skills are excellent. He once performed a heart disease operation for a patient. Gu Jiao asked, Was the operation successful? Yi Qing said, It was successful. But unfortunately, although the patient's heart disease was cured, he didn't survive the accident. The world is really unpredictable. Gu Jiao said, An accident is an accident, and an operation is an operation. What you said is very true. Yi Qing nodded with a smile. But how did you know that your brother needed an operation? Ordinary people couldn't think of this. Gu Jiao said, I know a little about medical skills. I see. Yi Qing said regretfully. Unfortunately, young Master Xiao came at the wrong time. My master went out. If young Master Xiao came a few days earlier, you might have met my master. It didn't matter. She could perform the operation herself. Gu Jiao said bluntly, I can perform the operation myself. Can I borrow your operating room? Perhaps because of Mr. Meng, Yi Qing was very generous and polite to Gu Jiao. He said pleasantly, You can borrow the ordinary operating room. I don't have the key to my master's operating room. I have to wait for him to come back. Even the operating room could be understood. The Royal Preceptor Palace really had a culture of time travel. Gu Jiao pondered for a moment and suddenly asked, "Is it strange or not?" Yi Qing was stunned. "Forget it, it's nothing. This wasn't time travel." Gu Jiao waved her hand and changed the topic. "When will the royal preceptor come back?" "Ah." Yi Qing came back to his senses and said, "Master said before he left that he would be back in 20 days at the fastest and a month at the slowest." A month wasn't too long. With Gu Yan's current situation, he could afford to wait. This trip was much smoother than Gu Jiao imagined. Not only did she enter the royal preceptor palace, she also confirmed the existence of the operating room and obtained permission to use it. Gu Jiao thanked Yi Qing and left the royal preceptor palace under the escort of the disciples. She sat in the carriage, weighed the token in her hand and sighed. "I didn't expect the identity of the chess saint of the 6 countries to be so useful." Old Master Meng straightened his back without batting an eyelid. "Humph. Digression, Mr. Meng. Why aren't you sucking up to me? Jiao Jiao. You should go walk the horse." Mr. Meng. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels that can't be found on the internet are all here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1078685222. HTML Genius memorized this site's address. www.zhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 645. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated more quickly. Millions of novels can be read for free. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found on the internet. Gu Jiao sent the coachman back to the carriage shop, and then went out of the inner city with Master Meng. "I still don't know your surname," Gu Jiao said. A best actor who could play the role of the chess sage of the 6 countries deserved a surname. "Meng," Master Meng said lightly. Gu Jiao looked at him strangely. "Your surname is Meng too?" "Master Meng." "Oh, does it sound familiar?" "Yes, I'm the chess sage of the 6 countries, Master Meng," Gu Jiao said. "Oh, that's quite a coincidence." Then there was no more. Master Meng. As the saying goes, an old horse knows the way. After leaving the city, Gu Jiao didn't even need to pull the reins to turn. The Horse King made the carriage fully automatic and drove the carriage back to the small alley where they lived without stopping. The house was very lively today. Xiao Heng and little Jing Kong were here. Gu Jiao heard little Jing Kong's small voice from afar. The quiet yard seemed to be alive all of a sudden. Master Meng's face stiffened. Obviously, the shadow of being blown into ashes by little Jing Kong still lingered in his heart. Master Meng couldn't help but shiver when he heard little Jing Kong's voice. Master Meng hesitated and didn't step into the yard. The Horse King also didn't enter the yard. The man and the horse turned around tacitly. The Horse King took the reins and handed them to Master Meng. Master Meng grabbed the reins and walked the horse quickly. "Jiao Jiao. Grandpa. Little Shi." Little Jing Kong's excited voice suddenly sounded behind Master Meng. Master Meng's body stiffened again. The Horse King took back the reins without hesitation and ran away alone, leaving Master Meng behind. Little Jing Kong ran over, raised his little head, and looked at Master Meng. "Grandpa, you've recovered." "I didn't. I'm so dizzy." Mr. Meng covered his head and staggered into the study. Little Jing Kong threw himself into Gu Jiao's arms. "Jiao Jiao." He was playing marbles with Gu Xiaoshan in the courtyard just now, and was sweating profusely. Gu Jiao held his hand and walked into the courtyard. Xiao Heng was working in the backyard. He had changed back into men's clothing and left the city. He was dressed in white and tall like jade. He was clearly chopping firewood and carrying water, but his every movement was pleasing to the eye. Gu Jiao went into the house and changed little Jing Kong into a set of dry clothes. Little Jing Kong went to play happily, and Gu Jiao went to the backyard. "You're here?" She stepped forward to greet him. "Okay." Xiao Heng calmly responded and split the last piece of firewood in his hand. In fact, he had already seen her coming back. But as a man, sometimes he was a little prideful and had to wait for her to coax him. This made him very proud. After chopping the firewood, he went to carry water. "Let me do it," Gu Jiao said. Xiao Heng said, "No, you can sit down." Gu Jiao looked at him steadily and curved her lips. She did not refuse and moved a small stool to sit beside him. He put the wooden bucket into the well, turned the joystick, and pulled the bucket up bit by bit. Gu Jiao looked at him with her chin in her hands and asked, "Why did you come here today?" "The academy is on break," Xiao Heng said. "Jing Kong wants to see you, so I came here." "What about you?" Gu Jiao asked. Xiao Heng's ears turned red. He did not dare to look at her, and only stared at the bucket of water he pulled up. The water rippled. "Me." His eyelashes fluttered and he whispered, "I want to see you too." Gu Jiao curled her lips. She thought of something and asked, "But isn't your talisman festival in the inner city with me? How can you get out of the city?" Xiao Heng said, "I have my own way." The most beautiful woman in the academy had many suitors. A talisman festival in the inner city was nothing to her. Xiao Heng looked in the direction of the study and asked, "The man called Grandpa by Jing Kong is?" Gu Jiao said, "He met a kind-hearted man from Jing Kong on the way. Jing Kong injured him with the black fire pearl. He is now recuperating here. His surname is Meng." There were many people with the surname Meng in the world. It was difficult to connect him with the chess master of the Six Kingdoms. Xiao Heng looked at the closed door and said, "Does he live in the study?" Gu Jiao said, "Yes, there are no extra rooms in the house." There were only 3 main rooms in the house. Master Lu and Madame Nan shared one, Gu Xiaoshan and Gu Yan shared one, and the last room was hers. Old Master Meng could only rest in the study. The study was not big, but only Xiao Heng and little Jing Kong needed to use the study. The rest of the family could use their own rooms. There was only one desk in the study. After moving it out, a bamboo bed made by Master Lu was placed on it. Xiao Heng whispered, "If I had known, I would have told the headmaster that I would go back tomorrow morning." "What?" Gu Jiao didn't hear him clearly. "Nothing," Xiao Heng said seriously. "Where did you go just now?" They rarely interfered with each other's private affairs, but she didn't know if it was because their relationship had deepened, but it was difficult for him to leave her alone like before. Gu Jiao didn't hide it from him and said, "I went to the Nation Master's Hall just now." "The Nation Master's Hall?" Xiao Heng was slightly stunned. He put the water on the well and turned to look at Gu Jiao. "Did you go to the gate of the Nation Master's Hall or enter the Nation Master's Hall?" "I went in," Gu Jiao said. Xiao Heng was even more surprised. He had been in Chengdu for so long, so he had naturally heard of the Nation Master's Hall. It was the most heavily guarded place in Chengdu except for the Imperial Palace. Ordinary people couldn't get in at all. Not to mention ordinary people. Even the dignitaries could rarely enter the Nation Master's Hall. But Gu Jiao not only went in, but also came out intact. "How did you get in?" Xiao Heng asked. Gu Jiao told Xiao Heng that she had asked old Master Meng to pretend to be the chess sage of the Six Kingdoms and sneak into the Nation Master's Hall. Xiao Heng didn't say anything for a long time after hearing it. "Are you sure he's a fake?" he asked. "Well, how can the chess sage of the Six Kingdoms be a beggar in Zhao Kingdom? I've seen him in Zhao Kingdom." As Gu Jiao spoke, she took out her small notebook and showed off the plot and lines that she had written exclusively to her husband. Xiao Heng looked at the lines and suddenly couldn't look directly at old Master Meng in the study. After dinner, Xiao Heng and little Jing Kong returned to the inner city. Before leaving, Gu Jiao returned the inner city talisman of Gu Jiao to Xiao Heng. Now that she had the token of the chess sage of the Six Kingdoms, she didn't need this talisman anymore. Xiao Heng could take other people's tokens, but it was more convenient for him to have his own. After the two of them left, Gu Jiao also planned to go back to her room to rest. As soon as she turned around, she saw old Master Meng looking outside the gate with a complicated expression. Gu Jiao followed his gaze and looked back, asking him, "What are you looking at?" "Who is that person?" Old Master Meng asked. Only 2 people went out of the house, Jing Kong and Xiao Heng. Naturally, old Master Meng wasn't asking about Jing Kong. Gu Jiao raised her eyebrows and said, "My husband Lulang. Didn't you hear his name?" Gu Jiao initially hid her identity from old Master Meng, but after Xiao Lulang came to the house, and Master Nan and Master Lu kept calling him Lulang, it was difficult not to reveal her identity. Old Master Meng already knew who was Gu Jiao and who was Xiao Lulang. Old Master Meng frowned. "How can you have a husband at such a young age?" Gu Jiao said fiercely. "I do." Old Master Meng asked, "He's from Zhao Kingdom?" "Yes," Gu Jiao said. "Zhao Kingdom." Old Master Meng frowned and murmured. Gu Jiao was careless in some things, but most of the time, she was very careful. She caught the strange look in old Master Meng's eyes and asked, "You don't think he's from Zhao Kingdom?" "That's not what I meant." Old Master Meng considered his words and said, "Forget it, maybe I was wrong." Gu Jiao pondered for a moment and suddenly said, No, you may not be wrong. Have you seen him somewhere else?" Old Master Meng recalled and said, "I did see someone who looked like him, but I didn't know him. I just saw him from afar." Why would he remember? It was probably because some people were born with a photographic memory. Gu Jiao thought of the person Mo Qianxue had seen and asked, "Where did you see him?" Old Master Meng said, "At the gate of the State Preceptor Hall." Gu Jiao asked, "Is he a disciple of the State Preceptor Hall?" Old Master Meng shook his head and said, "No, he wasn't wearing the robe of the State Preceptor Hall, and he didn't act like a disciple of the State Preceptor Hall. At that time, he looked more like he was going to the State Preceptor Hall for treatment." Treatment? Gu Jiao fell into deep thought. What old Master Meng didn't say was that the people who could go to the State Preceptor Hall for treatment were not ordinary people, and that young man went in from the front gate. The eldest disciple of the State Preceptor Hall, Yi Qing, personally went to the gate to greet him. This was not a treatment that a young master of an aristocratic family could enjoy. That young man was most likely a member of the great Yin royal family. Digression, it's the last day of the double event. If you have a monthly ticket, please vote now. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. All the novels that you can't find on the internet are available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1078528888. HTML Genius memorized this site's address. www.zhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 646. Please scan the QR code below to download the app for more exciting content. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are available here. Gu Jiao went back to the room to check Gu Yan's body and told him the good news of finding the operating room. Gu Yan rested his head on Gu Jiao's lap and fell asleep peacefully. It was late at night. In a courtyard of the Su mansion, Mu Qingchen took a bath and changed his clothes. He sat down by the bed with his long black hair hanging loosely. He opened the door of the bedside table and took out a brocade box. There was a shabby little doll in the brocade box. It had a big bloody mouth, sharp teeth, blind eyes and bald hair. Early the next morning, Gu Jiao went to check Gu Yan's pulse as usual after washing up. There was an old man and a horse at home. Occasionally, Xiaojie would fly over from the inner city. The house was lively and Gu Yan was not so bored. Gu Jiao went to school with Gu Xiaoshan without worry. Today Mu Qingchen sat in the last row. Gu Jiao didn't want to sit with him at first, but Gu Jiao sadly found that except for Mu Qingchen's unapproachable aura, there was no other quiet place in the class. Gu Jiao looked to the left and saw Zhong Ding waving at her. Gu Jiao looked to the right and saw Zhou Tong waving at her. Gu Jiao thought for a while and sat down next to Mu Qingchen with her school bag in her arms. Zhou Tong sat in front of Gu Jiao and took out his homework weekly. Pa. Mu Qingchen threw his homework on the table in front of Gu Jiao. Zhou Tong cowardly turned his half-turned body back to his original position. Gu Jiao finished copying the homework. Teacher Gao came. Teacher Gao and Teacher Jiang had classes in the morning. Gao Fuzi mainly taught arithmetic and was rather fierce and strict. Jiang Fuzi mainly taught the 4 books and 5 classics, political theory and so on. He was gentle and somewhat old-fashioned, but not pedantic. Both of them were very respectable teachers. Even so, the students in the class still loved Master Wu's class the most. It seemed that since ancient times, PE classes had always been students' favorite. In the afternoon, there were 2 hours of self-study, followed by Wu Fuzi's equestrian and archery lessons. Originally, the equestrian and archery class was in the beginning, but the weather was gradually getting hotter. The first hour of the afternoon was when the sun was the hottest, so Wu Fuzi changed the class. After the equestrian archery class began, everyone found that there was no target on the field. Instead, Wu Fuzi had a club and a fist-sized wooden ball in his hand. Today we will be bowing, Wu Fuzi said. Everyone was surprised. Obviously, there was not often a bowing lesson. Zhou Tong asked, Master Wu, why are you suddenly bowing? Monarchs liked bowing, and bowing was very popular in Chengdu. However, bowing was dangerous, so this kind of literary academy did not include it in the formal curriculum. Wu Fuzi smiled and said, I discussed with Principal Tsin this morning, and decided to participate in this year's bowing competition. Zhou Tong was shocked. What? Bowing competition? Our academy? Their academy was a bookworm who only knew how to dance. Why would they participate in a bowing competition? Wasn't this just asking to be humiliated? The rest of the people had the same idea as Zhou Tong. Their academy had produced many top scholars in the imperial examinations, but they could forget about bowing. About a few years ago, Principal Tsin and Wu Fuzi had signed up for the bowing competition like today. In the end, they did not score a single ball and were beaten miserably. Had Principal Tsin and Wu Fuzi forgotten the pain after the scar healed? Ahem. Wu Fuzi cleared his throat and said seriously, Today is different from the past. Our academy has the strength to compete with other academies. The principal and I have confidence in you. When he said this, he kept looking at Gu Jiao. He almost directly asked Gu Jiao to participate. Okay, let's go and choose a horse, Wu Fuzi said. All the students went to the race course. Xiao Lulang, come here. Wu Fuzi called Gu Jiao. Zhongding winked at Gu Jiao. Of course you're going to participate. Zhou Tong made a gesture. Good luck. Gu Jiao came to Wu Fuzi. Wu Fuzi said pleasantly, Have you played bowing in the Zhao Kingdom before? No. Gu Jiao said bluntly. Ah. Wu Fuzi was stunned and smiled. It's okay. I can teach you. Every day after school, you can come to the pasture to find me. We'll train for 2 hours. It was not enough to go to school. Extra classes? Gu Jiao did not want to do it. She was determined to resist the after-school tutoring. This is not only an honor for you, but also for the academy. I think highly of you. I hope you can win glory for the academy. Gu Jiao still did not want to do it. It's also good for you. If you become famous, you may have a chance to stay in Chengdu in the future. Gu Jiao was stubborn. Wu Fuzi had a headache. Aren't you very aggressive? What's wrong? It's not worthy of bowing? Gu Jiao said seriously. Wu Fuzi, I'm not good at studying. I need to focus more on my studies. I won't think about the competition for the time being. I'll focus on my studies. Wait, why don't you say that when you copy homework every day? You doze off in class. Do you think I can't see it when I pass by? Wu Fuzi was confused. Gu Jiao cupped her hands and turned to walk to the stable. The students in the stable were talking about the bowing competition. Hey, have you heard? The bowing competition is held at Lingbo Academy again. This is the 3rd time it's held at their academy. Lingbo Academy? Is that the academy with the prodigy class? Yes. That's it. Hey, is Kanglan Women's Academy right next to Lingbo Academy? Do you think The students of Kanglan Women's Academy will go to watch the competition? They went last year. They will go this year too, right? Gu Jiao turned back. Wu Fuzi, what are the rules of the competition? Wu Fuzi was speechless. Didn't you say you wouldn't participate? On the other side, Dean Sun was having a friendly talk with Mu Qingchen in the dean's office. Dean Sun said, here's the thing. I know you don't usually participate in the affairs of the academy, but I still hope you can participate in the bowing competition. Mu Qingchen was a rare student who excelled in both the pen and the sword. He was very good at bowing and could be ranked among the top in Xingdu. Dean Sun smiled. Your classmate Xiao Lulang will also participate. He is a newbie and has no experience in bowing. I hope you can guide him. Mu Qingchen walked out of the dean's office and headed to the field. Fourth brother. He was halfway there when a young student suddenly rushed out from the side and called out to him. This person was none other than Mu Chuan, a student from Bright Maple Hall who ate with him on the second floor. Mu Chuan's father and Mu Qingchen's mother were biological siblings. In terms of blood, they were cousins. However, Mu Qingchen took after his mother, so Mu Chuan had always regarded him as a member of the Mu family. Coincidentally, Mu Qingchen was also ranked fourth among the Mu family's men in this generation. Don't you need to go to class? Mu Qingchen looked at Mu Chuan and asked. I snuck out. Mu Chuan said. What's up? Mu Qingchen asked indifferently. Mu Chuan asked curiously. My classmate passed by the dean's office and heard that you agreed to participate in the bowing competition. Is that true? Mu Qingchen glanced at him. You skipped class just to tell me this? Mu Chuan chuckled. I want to know. Mu Qingchen walked forward. Go back to your class. Mu Chuan caught up with him. I'll participate too. Mu Qingchen left. The bowing competition was a confrontation between two teams. Each team had 4 players. 2 of them were bowlers, 1 main and 1 assistant, 1 bowler and 1 defender. The bowler was mainly responsible for interfering with the other team's movements and feeding the 2 bowlers the ball. The defender was mainly responsible for guarding the goal of his team and preventing the other team from scoring. When Mu Qingchen arrived at the grassland, Gu Jiao had just learned the rules of the bowing competition from Wu Fuzi and was choosing a cue stick. This one is good. Zhou Tong picked up a cue stick and said to Gu Jiao, your cue stick is a little broken. Let's use this one. Zhongding picked another one and handed it to Gu Jiao. A group of people surrounded the grassland to choose a cue stick for Gu Jiao. Mu Qingchen was about to walk over when suddenly, a group of people came from the other side of the grassland. It was a bit exaggerated to say that they were mighty. There were no more than 20 people in total, but their aura was so strong that it made people think of thousands of soldiers and horses. Among those people, a young man with a feminine temperament came over. He made an obeisance to Mu Qingchen and said something. Mu Qingchen nodded slightly and walked over with him. Zhongding couldn't help but look over. Among those powerful men, there seemed to be a noble young man in brocade clothes. He murmured, who are those people? Zhou Tong craned his neck and looked over. He said in surprise, oh my god, they're from the Crown Prince's mansion. How do you know? Zhongding asked. Zhou Tong didn't dare to point with his finger, so he hinted with his eyes. They're the brocade guards from the Crown Prince's mansion. I've seen them in the inner city. Zhongding said in disbelief. The Crown Prince's mansion came to our academy. Oh my god. Was he dreaming? He couldn't believe that he could see the Crown Prince's mansion from afar. Zhou Tong continued. That young man should be Prince Ming from the Crown Prince's mansion. The Crown Prince's son? Gu Jiao asked. Yes. Zhou Tong nodded. He's the Crown Prince's legitimate son. Gu Jiao looked over. Although they were far away, Gu Jiao's eyesight was very good. She could see the side of the young man's face clearly. It was a face brimming with confidence and dignity. He was talking to Mu Qingchen in a gentle manner. From time to time, he would smile as if he was a friend. Zhou Tong said enviously. Only young Master Qingchen can be so respected that Prince Ming from the Crown Prince's mansion would lower himself to visit him. Unlike us, we don't even have the right to greet Prince Ming. Prince Ming from the Crown Prince's mansion came out in plain clothes. He didn't let anyone receive him. After greeting Mu Qingchen, he went with Mu Qingchen to Dean Sin's office. Prince Ming used to be a student of Tianqiong Academy. Zhongding said to Gu Jiao after Zhou Tong and the others were called away. Gu Jiao was still choosing a cue stick. She didn't say anything. What did the people from the Crown Prince's mansion have to do with her? Zhongding looked around and couldn't hold back the fire of gossip in his heart. He whispered to Gu Jiao, "The people of Yin Kingdom were here just now, so I didn't dare to say. Do you know about the Crown Prince's residence?" "No." Gu Jiao said calmly and changed to another cue stick. Zhongding was easy to talk to. He didn't care whether Gu Jiao liked to hear it or not. He only cared about whether he wanted to say it or not. Otherwise, he would feel uncomfortable holding it in. He lowered his voice and said, "The Crown Prince wasn't the Crown Prince and Prince Ming wasn't conferred the title yet. This club was not good either. It was too light." Gu Jiao frowned and changed another one. Zhongding walked in front of her. "The Crown Prince is the second son of the Emperor of Yin Kingdom. His mother is Imperial Concubine Han. Do you know the Han family?" "No." Gu Jiao said. Zhongding said, "I don't know much either. Anyway, it's a very powerful family. The original Crown Prince is the third princess of Empress Yuan." Hearing this, Gu Jiao finally reacted. Her hand holding the cue stick paused, and she looked at Zhongding. "Princess? A princess can also be the Crown Prince?" This surprised Gu Jiao. Zhongding hurriedly said, "There was no such precedent. The Crown Princess of Yin Kingdom was the first. Do you know who the Empress Yuan's brother is?" He didn't ask this question to wait for Gu Jiao's answer. After asking, he said to himself, "It's the Yin Kingdom's war god, Xianyuan Li." Xianyuan Li's sister entered the palace and gave birth to a daughter for the Emperor of Yin Kingdom. At the banquet, the Emperor conferred her the title of Crown Princess of Yin Kingdom. That was truly a collection of all the doting on him. Her father was the Emperor, her mother was the Empress Yuan, and her uncle was the head of the Xianyuan family, who had millions of soldiers. TSK, there was no one more honorable than her in the world. What happened after that? Gu Jiao asked. She was rarely interested in irrelevant things. Perhaps it was because she was using Xianyuan Li's divine weapon, so she was a little more curious about things related to the Xianyuan family. Zhongding spread his hands and sighed. After that, there was no after. The Xianyuan family rebelled. The crown princess was deposed, and the Empress Yuan was banished to the cold palace. The war god of Yin Kingdom fell. Gu Jiao paused and asked, "How old is the crown princess?" Zhongding thought for a while. "About the same age as the crown prince? Her son is only 1 year older than Prince Ming. Prince Ming is 18 this year." The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are novels with connotations that can't be found online here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1078505002. HTML Genius remembered the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 647. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated more quickly. Millions of novels will be read for free. There are all kinds of novels that you can't find on the internet. When Mu Qingchen came over, Zhongding immediately shut up. He led the horse and took the cue to find Zhou Tong and the others. Mu Qingchen looked at Zhongding's back and asked, "What were you talking about just now? Why did he leave as soon as he saw me?" "Nothing," Gu Jiao said. She didn't like to gossip, let alone spread it. She paused. Perhaps she felt that she had to answer Mu Qingchen's question, so she added, "I wasn't talking about you." Mu Qingchen stopped asking. He could almost guess that the arrival of Commandery Prince Ming had caused a stir. Although Commandery Prince Ming didn't show his identity, Most of the students here were from Xingdu, and many of them were young masters of aristocratic families. Some of them might have seen Commandery Prince Ming before. Are you picking the cue? Mu Qingchen looked at Gu Jiao, who kept changing the cue, and asked. Yes, Gu Jiao replied faintly. None of the cue sticks were suitable for her. Mu Qingchen left without saying a word. Gu Jiao didn't care, and continued to pick the cue sticks. But after a while, Mu Qingchen came back with a horse and a cue stick in his hand. Here you are. Gu Jiao glanced at him and took the cue from him. She weighed it in her hand and compared it. It was heavier than the other cue sticks, but for someone who was used to using the red tasseled spear, the weight was just right. Thank you, Gu Jiao said. Then she looked at him and asked, What are you going to use? This. Mu Qingchen grabbed a cue stick from the basket and got on the horse. I'll show you around. Gu Jiao also got on her horse. Okay. Mu Qingchen first introduced the requirements and rules of bowing to Gu Jiao. Bowing was first passed down from the royal family of the Jin state. As soon as it entered the Yan state, it was liked by the royal family. Later, it gradually became popular in the circle of nobles. Today, bowing was included in the curriculum of many aristocratic academies. There were no bow striking classes in the Tianqiong Academy, but Wu Fuzi would often lead the students to bow striking classes. Archery had very high requirements for horses. All archery racehorses had to go through very strict training. The training difficulty of archery racehorses was far higher than that of war horses. The requirements for the bowler were not low. Horsemanship, skills, stamina, willpower, and adaptability were all indispensable. You win if you hit the ball into the opponent's hole. Mu Qingchen continued. But remember, you can't collide head-on with the ball, hit your opponent with the club, or interfere with your opponent's horse. You can't touch the ball with your body. These are the main taboos. It's inevitable that there will be some unexpected conflicts during the competition, so you have to protect yourself. As he spoke, he pointed at the protective gear carried over by the academy's manservant and said, The protective gear is here. Put it on and let's officially play a round. Gu Jiao put on the elbow and knee pads and put on the palm pads, and went up the stage with Mu Qingchen. She tried the 4 seats one by one, and all of them were good. But the most amazing thing was the stroke she played when she bow striking. The ball was passed to her by Mu Qingchen. Due to Wu Fuzi's interference, the ball was actually a little off course. Who would have thought that she would accurately hook the ball over the top of her head? Then, with a swing of her club, she hit the ball into the hole from a distance that was impossible to see clearly. Everyone was amazed by this stroke. This momentum and this accuracy, she was simply a born archer. Mu Qingchen rode his horse to Gu Jiao's side and looked at her deeply. Is this really your first time bow striking? Gu Jiao nodded. Mu Qingchen wanted to say something but stopped on second thought. In the end, he just said, That stroke just now was very skillful. Gu Jiao thought about it seriously and said, Well, this is probably the legendary talent. Mu Qingchen was speechless. The afternoon's training soon ended. Gu Jiao played for the first time. Compared with Mu Qingchen, who had bow striking since childhood, her skills were naturally a little green, but basically met Wu Fuzi's expectations. There was one thing that Gu Jiao was too fierce, and she would commit a foul if she was not careful. She would easily be sent off the stage. Wu Fuzi said, The game will be held in 7 days. In these days, everyone should practice hard. Wu Fuzi selected a total of 20 people. Only 4 of them really played, and there were several substitutes. In the next few days, Gu Jiao would stay in the academy after school to practice with Mu Qingchen and the others. Gu Shaoshun sat on the edge of the grassland and waited for her. In the blink of an eye, it was the day before the game. Wu Fuzi called everyone to the grassland and announced the players selected according to the training performance of these days. As expected, the first one was Mu Qingchen. The other 3 were Gu Jiao, Yuan Xiao from Bright Maple Hall, and Zhao Wei from Bright Moon Hall. Mu Chuan was a substitute. Gu Shaoshun was often waiting for Gu Jiao on the grassland, so he was a logistics team leader and also participated in the game with them. Wu Fuzi smiled. Let's not practice today. Everyone go back and rest early. We will go to Lingbo Academy tomorrow morning. After returning to the house, Gu Jiao told her family about the game in the inner city tomorrow morning. Gu Yan suddenly said, I want to watch your game too. Gu Jiao looked at Gu Yan and nodded. Okay. Before going to bed, Gu Jiao checked Gu Yan's body again. It had become a habit for Gu Jiao to do it in the morning and in the evening. Gu Yan lay on the bed and obediently opened his shirt to let Gu Jiao put the stethoscope on. His condition hadn't deteriorated too much for the time being, so it wasn't a big problem for him to watch a game. After returning to the house, Gu Jiao put the stethoscope back into the small medicine box. She lay on the bed, closed her eyes, and fell into a deep sleep. Gu Jiao didn't expect that she would dream again at night. Why did she say again? It wasn't the first time she dreamed after coming to Chengdu, but every time she woke up, she couldn't remember what she dreamed of. The sky in her dream was gray, and she couldn't tell the time. She was outside a quiet courtyard, and in front of her was a vermilion gate. She didn't know which mischievous brat had scratched a few marks on the gate with the tip of a knife. It was strange. Why did she subconsciously think that it was caused by a mischievous brat? What if it was a servant who bumped into it while moving things? She pushed open the gate and stepped into the courtyard. A cluster of green bamboos was planted in the left corner, and rows of bellflowers were planted on both sides of the wall. When the breeze blew, the bellflowers rustled. This was a strange yet familiar courtyard. It was strange because Gu Jiao had never been here before. It was familiar because even though she had been here before, she vaguely knew what each room was used for. The corridor started from the east. The first room was a wing room, the second room was the upper room, the third room was the study, and after turning the corner, there was a storeroom. Gu Jiao looked at the row of rooms in front of her with a strange expression. A voice came from behind the unlocked study door. Yining, it's time to practice writing. Come here quickly. Don't be lazy. Oh, you're hiding again, aren't you? How many times have I told you, you have to practice 100 words every day? The owner of this voice was. Just when Gu Jiao was confused, the study door opened, and a man in a blue gown stepped out. Gu Jiao recognized him at a glance. It was the Duke. At this time, the Duke was still very young and handsome, completely different from the haggard middle-aged man lying on the bed. Therefore, even she herself did not know how she was able to recognize him at first glance. In short, as soon as this man came out, she knew his identity in her mind. Yining. The man began to look for her in every room. Yining, don't hide anymore. It's time to practice writing. Okay, I won't force you to practice writing. Let's go out and play. Come out. Yining. Yining. Yining, where have you been? The young Duke's voice became nervous. Yining, don't scare me. Come out quickly. Where have you been, Yining? Father misses you very much. Yining, come out quickly. His eyes were red, and tears were rolling in his eyes. His voice was trembling and choking. Yining. Yining. Father misses you, Yining. He staggered and fell on the steps. Gu Jiao subconsciously reached out her hand as if she wanted to help him. Gu Jiao was at the door, and he was on the steps. There was an entire courtyard between them. She put her hand down again. At this moment, he suddenly raised his head and looked in the direction of the door. Yining. Gu Jiao's heart skipped a beat. She opened her eyes and woke up from her dream. The dream in her mind receded like the tide. She quickly forgot what had happened in the dream. She only remembered a panicked, handsome face. He looks a bit like the Duke. Gu Jiao raised her brows. Was it because she had seen the High Duke too many times that she even dreamed of him? After dawn, Gu Jiao, Gu Xiaoshan, and Gu Yan were ready to set off. Gu Yan's body was weak and couldn't move. Fortunately, Master Lu made a wheelchair for him. Master Lu drove the carriage to Tianqiong Academy. Wu Fuzi led the group out of the academy. Mu Qingchen and Mu Chuan returned to the inner city last night. They were going to Lingbo Academy by themselves. Gu Jiao wanted to bring Gu Yan along. President Xin and Wu Fuzi didn't have any objections. The group entered the inner city in a carriage. On the other side, Second Master Jing also used a wheelchair to push his eldest brother out of the courtyard. Hey, what are you doing? Second Madam stopped him and asked. Second Master Jing looked at his eldest brother in the wheelchair, and said to Second Madam, There's a boxing competition today. I'm bringing eldest brother to watch. Second madam hurriedly said. Eldest brother is already like this. You still want to bring him out? Second Master Jing said seriously. Eldest brother is much better. I even saw him open his eyes last night. Second madam glared at him. Is that considered opening his eyes? After opening his eyes, he was in a daze and didn't know how to close them. He also didn't respond when she spoke to him. Was his eyelid twitching? Second madam chuckled. I think you want to watch the boxing competition yourself. Why are you using eldest brother as an excuse? Second Master Jing cleared his throat. Cough cough. I'm just worried about leaving eldest brother alone in the residence. Assassins always come to assassinate eldest brother. I have to personally watch eldest brother to be at ease. Moreover, the imperial physician also told us to bring eldest brother out to get some sunlight. Second madam said coldly. Are you going to watch the boxing competition or those beauties from Songlan Academy? Second Master Jing said domineeringly. Of course I'm going to watch the boxing competition. And also to watch the beauties. Second madam frowned and muttered. But there's something going on in the residence today. I can't leave. It's good that you can't leave. If you go, how can I watch the beauties? Second Master Jing smiled. You do what you need to do. Come back when you're done. I'll save a seat for you. Second madam coldly glared at Second Master Jing. Second Master Jing swaggered away with his eldest brother in his wheelchair. Second madam called a manservant. You go and serve Second Master. Remember to keep an eye on him. Don't let him mess around outside. The manservant replied. Yes, madam. As the competition venue, Lingbo Academy gave the students a day off. Although Songlan Academy didn't give them a day off, they basically arranged for self-study. Most of the students went to Lingbo Academy to watch the competition. Lingbo Academy had the largest boxing competition venue in the inner city. The seats with the widest view were set up on both sides. I want to watch the boxing competition. In Linglong Pavilion's dormitory, little Jing Kong protested to his bad brother-in-law, who forced him to study. I'm not going, Xiao Heng said. Little Jing Kong exploded on the spot. You're really a bad brother-in-law. You won't even bring me to watch the boxing competition. Xiao Heng said indifferently. There are many people. You're so small. You won't even know if someone steps on you. I've grown taller. I'm not small anymore. I'm so tall. Little Jing Kong stood on his tiptoes and tried to gesture at the top of his head. Xiao Heng glanced at him and continued to read the book in his hand. Little Jing Kong was really angry. He was going to run away from home for the second time. Knock, knock, knock. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door. Who is it? Little Jing Kong asked. Bad brother-in-law didn't know how to speak in a female voice, so he pretended to be a mute. The girl outside the room smiled and said, It's Jing Kong. Is your sister here? We're here to invite her to watch the boxing competition next door. Little Jing Kong looked at Xiao Heng as if he had seen a ghost. Someone actually invited you to watch the competition? Bad brother-in-law was so bad that he didn't have any friends. Xiao Heng didn't move. Little Jing Kong was going crazy. It's good enough that someone wants to be your friend, but you still don't like it. Little Jing Kong snorted. If you don't want to go, I'll go. Xiao Heng didn't even lift his eyelids. Ha! Little Jing Kong decisively abandoned his bad brother-in-law and walked to the door. He looked at the three girls outside the room and said cutely, My sister won't go with you. I'll go with you. The three girls were stunned. The girl who spoke just now said, it's better not. We don't dare to take you without your sister's permission. They didn't invite her because they really treated her as a friend. They could only get a good seat if they invited her. Those young masters had already booked the best seats for the most beautiful girl in the academy. The three girls didn't give up and thought of something. One of them looked at the scholarly beauty in the room and said, I heard that Tianqiong Academy is also participating. Young Master Qingchen will play. Are you sure you don't want to go and watch? Xiao Heng paused in his reading. A quarter of an hour later, The most beautiful girl in Kanglan Women's Academy appeared in the Lingbo Academy's arena with a veil and a little black child. A large group of guards swarmed over. Miss Gu. Our young master has already arranged the grandstand. Miss Gu, please come with us. Miss Gu. Our young master has also arranged the grandstand. Miss Gu, please come with me. Miss Gu. Miss Gu. Xiao Heng took out a piece of paper. Where is the grandstand of Tianqiong Academy? A well-dressed guard raised his hand and said, Over here. Here. Our young master has arranged the grandstand next to Tianqiong Academy. Digression, Duke. Who is this guy next to me? I don't like looking at him. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. There are novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/10783426. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Pavilion mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.